soccer today from RFK Stadium. Fort Lauderdale takes on Team America. Brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers and proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Last Wednesday night, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers played in Tulsa. The Strikers opened the scoring in the first half on a goal by Teofil Cubillas. But the Tulsa Roughnecks bounced back to tie the game on this goal by Ron Futcher. That forced overtime. And again, it was Futcher to win the game for the Tulsa Roughnecks. On Thursday night, Team America won its second straight game and vaulted into first place in the Southern Division on this goal by Hayden Knight that propelled Team America into first place. And this great save by Team America goalkeeper Paul Hammond on tattoo. Today, these two Southern Division rivals will battle it out at RFK Stadium. We'll hope you'll stay tuned. We'll be back with Gordon Bradley in just a moment. And everybody, this is Mike Lang along with Gordon Bradley here at RFK Stadium this afternoon. Team America battling the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, Gordon. Interesting matchup, two different teams.
Two different styles of play here, Mike. We've got the players like Cubillas, Zagota, Brian Kidd, and of course their recent acquisition, Ricardo Villa, who's a World Cup Argentinian player who they just bought from the Tottenham Hotspur Club of England. They technically have got a lot of skill and should score a lot of goals. However, Team America, probably the best defensive record in the league, with Jeff Durgan and Dan Cantor and Paul Hammond playing tremendously well of late. They are a great defensive team. Don't eliminate, though, Team America's capability up front, because today sees the return of Alan Green, who's always been a prolific goal scorer. Alan will team up with Andy Parkinson, and that duo should also score goals, so it's certainly going to be very, very interesting.
We will see in goal for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, Jan van Beveren, who has been an all-star the last 3 years. We had a chance to talk with him earlier and ask him about what he thought about the concept of Team America. America concept.
Oh, the concept is great. The only thing we have to wait for, if it pays off, you know, you can't do a thing like this for a couple of months or a year. You have to look at this on the long term, and if it pays off, if it will survive the whole soccer in the United States, it's a great concept. The only thing is now up to them, you know, to come up with the good results against the foreign teams, qualify for the World Cup, and then it's off on the way up.
Thank you, Jan. Okay. Appreciate it. All right, we'll return for more action here from RFK Stadium, the start of today's game, after this word from your local stations. All right, these are the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. The keeper, Jan van Beveren, Bobby Bolitho, Ken Fogarty, Tony Whelan, and Bruce Miller on the back line. Midfield, Ray Hudson, Thomas Rongen, Ricardo Villa, and he'll also be joined by Cubillas, and they're the strikers, Gordon Bradley.
Brian Kidd and Zagota.
Now for Team America, they will be going with Arnie Mauser this afternoon in the goal, an 0.87 goals against average. Second in the league to Tina Guattari. There's Mauser, and that's the back line. Savage, Durgan, Cantor, and Merrick. Midfield, Barry Vanderbeck, Pedro De Brito, and Hayden Knight, who had the winning goal on Thursday.
Bravo.
And up front,
Andy Parkinson, Alan Green, and Boris Bandov operating on the left wing.
Green has been a prolific goal scorer in this league, Gordon, in the North American Soccer League.
Yes, he certainly has. He scored 26 goals in 1980, and of course Aldis Panagoulias, who you see there now, was looking for Alan to put more goals into the net today, something that Team America's been short of so far this season.
At home, Team America is 2-2. Away, they are 3-2. Fort Lauderdale has yet to win a game on the road this year. They're 0-4. And their record is 3-6. Team America atop the Southern Division, Tied with Tampa Bay, both with 35 points, but Tampa Bay has a record of 3-8.
That's right. In fact, Team America is the only team that's got a winning record in the Southern Division, 5-4.
Arnie Mauser, and then Jan van Beveren.
Superb goalkeeper, Mike. Jan van Beveren, a Dutchman, played for the Dutch national team with Johan Cruyff, who many of our viewers will recognize and remember.
Dino Di Placidio will be the referee. Brian Summersby, Greg Fletcher, the two linesmen. We are underway. And Miller. Fort Lauderdale headed up in the air. Fogarty. And controlled now. Foul is called against Fort Lauderdale. Expect a physical game here, Gordon?
Certainly a physical game, especially after last Wednesday or Thursday's game against Tampa. There was 37 fouls called on Team America. That's a lot in one game.
You had to look at Brian Kidd, number 11 for the Strikers, who was injured in the first minute of the opening game, now back. And the Strikers will play it back to keeper Van Beveren. That long kick. At midfield, Kobias, who was the North American Soccer League's Player of the Week this past week. Rongan. And that far side. Blytho now trying to move in deep. And Hayden Knight made a good play to strip it off his leg. Blytho, good hustle there, Gordon, to get it back.
Certainly got it back well.
Sagoda, a lot of individual stars on this Fort Lauderdale team. And play to the corner. Blytho, again, way in. Vacating that right fullback spot. His cross into the box area and pushed out of danger by Ganter.
Good play by Danny Canada. And of course, talking about stars, we cannot say enough about Teofilo Kobias, who was played in 3 World Cup finals.
Cantor, Savage, and that ball is lifted long up into the seats here at RFK.
Mike, just looking at Ricardo Villa, he played for the 1978 World Cup winning team, Argentina, and scored 2 goals in the final of the English Cup in 1981 when Tottenham won the Cup. So he's come here, a goal scorer, a playmaker, and an excellent acquisition to the North American Soccer League.
We are scoreless, just underway here. 45-minute running half. We've played 2 minutes. And the goal kick belonging to Team America, Mauser, up to the midfield area. Vanderbeck now back on this near side to Savage. And his long ball up ahead, Alan Green. Went up in the air, unable to win it. Fogarty, now back and forth they go, and it is controlled by Fort Lauderdale. Rongan gave it away. Bandoff, looking that left side, Hayden Knight, moving instructions with his arm. Back to Bandoff. His cross, not headed out. Played right in front. And Team America unable to make the play right in front of goalkeeper Jan van Beveren.
He had time to get the shot off. He placed it to the far post just outside, but it was a good shot by Pedro de Brito. And it's going to have to take a good shot to beat Jan van Beveren. Superb goalkeeper.
How would you describe his style, Gordon?
Beveren?
Yes.
I've heard, Mike, that if we can fault him, it's on his lack of coming out to collect the high balls. On the goal line, he's a great reactionary goalkeeper. He's got a tremendous kick, as we're going to see here now, way over the 35-yard line.
This is Bruce Miller. Kobias at midfield. And Ray Hudson dummies the ball. Lets it go through to Brian Kidd. To Rongan. They've got some space to work with here, the Strikers. And it is deflected. I think we'll get a corner kick coming up here for Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, and it looks like Tommy Rongan and Rocky Hudson, as he's known by, are going to be on a short corner kick here, unless... No, decided against it.
They've gone the other way, and it will be Hudson taking the kick.
Hudson, and probably, Mike, if he takes it with his right foot, it'll make an outswinger, and that's exactly what he's done.
To Villa, and he gets a goal, sails over that crossbar.
Second one for Villa, high and wide.
Well, we played 4 minutes here in the opening half. Mike Lang along with Gordon Bradley here at RFK Stadium. Very hot, humid day. The temperature in the high 80s.
And of course, it's good to see Arnie Mauser in goal, and Paul Hammond has been playing exceptionally well, but coach Alkas Panagoulias has decided today to get some playing time in for Arnie Mauser.
Danny Cantor will take that goal kick and play to the midfield area. Crosses the near line. Vanderbeck will have the throw in for Team America. Fort Lauderdale with the ball. Sagoda. Tap it ahead to Kidd. Back to Sagoda. Bronco Segota, Tobias, and they just kind of weave it around in the midfield area. And again, Fort Lauderdale appears to be content to try and look for an opening here, Gordon.
Yes, and they'll try to find it there.
And we'll have a foul called here against the Strikers.
It's going to be a good matchup today. Brian Kidd playing against Team America captain Jeff Durgan. Two very physical players, two exceptionally good players in the air.
Jeff Durgan at 6'2", has some height on that back line for Team America. And it's lifted long into that box area. And Beveridge comes chasing out. He'll roll it near side. Bruce Miller up ahead to the midfield area. Villa off the side of his foot. Cabillas back to Villa. And they try to find some open space on that far side. Can't do it. Hayden Knight. Look for Alan Green, number 28 for Team America. That does not connect. Green running for the ball, has great speed. He'll trap it with his right foot, far side. Green coming. His cross deflected off a striker, and I believe we'll get a corner here in favor of Team America.
Of course, we saw Alan Green chasing that ball and trying to get his cross in, forced a corner kick, but Alan Green's here to play today. I can see that, Mike.
Alan Green is so quick. He said he has scored a lot of goals in the North American Soccer League. That cross comes in, and a foul is called against Team America. That will negate the dead ball situation.
I just thought on that corner kick, Mike, that Freddie Vanderbeek kind of slipped when he was kicking. It didn't do what he actually wanted to do.
All right, we will take a timeout here from RFK Stadium. No score. We'll be back in a moment. The injured striker down is Teofilo Cubillas, and he was hit in the facial area by a kick ball and went down in a hurry.
Pure accident, Mike. We saw a volley kick by Andy Parkinson driven into the face of Teofilo Cubillas, and I'm sure he's going to be able to play on. However, he must be feeling the pain of that one.
Well, to lose Cubillas will not be too good for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. They have been hampered by injuries. A lot of clubs this year have been hampered by some injuries. See if we can take a look at possibly what might have happened to Cubillas. He's now sitting, trying to regain his composure a little bit.
Just seems as if he knows where he is, and Rocky Hudson giving him some attention there along with the trainer.
He is the Strikers' leading scorer, is Cubillas, with 6 goals on the year and 13 points overall.
Nice to see Andy Parkinson caring for him also. Here it is on a replay. The ball comes up in the air. Andy Parkinson drives it with his left foot, and there's Cubillas coming in on the side of your pitcher, right into his face. Knocks him clean off his feet. But now good to see him back on his feet, recovered. I'm sure he'll shake it off.
Ray Hudson saying something to Cubillas.
Probably the referee asking if he's all right, knows where he is. And nobody wants to see a player leave the game, especially a player of Cubillas' skill.
The throw-in belongs to Team America. And Bruce Savage, 22-year-old, out of Miami, went to Miami-Dade North Community College. And he will put it back into play. It'll be Alan Green. Nice play by Green. Parkinson on the move. He is taken off his feet. Play goes on. Parkinson looked for a call, but none to be.
I think it was a good decision by the referee there. And also a good one there. A foul on Alan Merrick by Brian Kidd. Of course, 2 Englishmen there. Brian Kidd out of Manchester United, Arsenal and Aston Villa, and Alan Merrick out of the Birmingham area, the Midlands area, now as a naturalized American.
We are still scoreless here in the first half of play. Fort Lauderdale and Team America. Team America 5-4 on the year. And this time the ball will belong to the Strikers. They will put it back into play. Miller over the head. Ken Fogarty, who has just come off 2 knee operations this past year.
And actually, Mike, 4 in total. So a player that's gone through 4 knee operations in the last 2 or 3 years has got to be something to come back and play in the North American Soccer League.
Van Beveren in his 4th year in the North American Soccer League. Long kick again. He can't boot the ball. Kidd tried to settle it, could not. Now Hudson chips it into the box, and Mauser reaches up easily to take it.
Arnie's first save of the day. Nice to get his hands on the ball.
Savage playing that right fullback position. Parkinson chest trapped it, and he was pushed from behind. Tony Whelan.
Very well played by Andy Parkinson there. Wouldn't be pushed off his ground and held his ground and chest trapped it. However, the defender, Tony Whelan, gave away the free kick.
Jeff Durgan taking this free kick for Team America. And Durgan puts it up into the box. Well placed up in front, and Van Beveren pokes it away with his arm. Now Vanderbeck to the midfield area. Durgan near side, and Team America seems to have some momentum going right now.
Certainly do. Good diagonal ball.
DeBrito put it in for Green. Left foot kick. It is in. It's a score. Team America leads 1-0. Alan Green. Boy, is that a well-placed shot, Gordon
It
Bradley.
certainly was, of course. Played some good soccer. Bruce Savage put the diagonal ball in, and I don't know whether DeBrito got a touch of it or not. So, here we see it again on the replay. There's Bruce Savage. There's a defender coming up in attack. Diagonal ball comes all the way over. Pedro DeBrito kind of lets it go through his legs onto Alan Green, who half volleys the ball off the underside of the crossbar, give Van Beveren no opportunity to save. A great goal by Alan Green and Team America.
Green is so deadly in around that goal area, and he just got the left foot to it.
The answer is, Mike, he's a finisher. Alan Green scored goals all the way through his career, and there we see the reason why.
Another look at it. Van Beveren was kind of frozen in his tracks. He had nowhere to go. And here again is Team America. Green. Parkinson is knocked down. Play goes on. Vanderbeck is shot. That's sailed just wide.
And that one was very close also. Barry Vanderbeck hit it just outside the post. Van Beveren, no opportunity to get that one.
The goal, Green from DeBrito and Savage. The time, 9:03. So Team America has a 1-0 lead here at RFK Stadium. And again, Savage. Back the other way. Villa will play it to the midfield area to Ray Hudson. A great playmaker is Hudson. Crossfield pass goes to Balaito. Balaito, 7 years in the North American Soccer League. Chips it into the box. Segoda's there, a header, and that went over the crossbar. Segota was in position there, Gordon.
Certainly was, and of course there we saw another diagonal ball similar to the one Bruce Savage served over to Alan Green. It's a very dangerous ball in soccer.
And Cantor again to take the goal kick for Team America.
Mike, certainly nice to see Thomas Rongan return here. Played for the old Diplomats on RFK Stadium several years ago. Nice to see him back here.
Hayden Knight skims it ahead. Green going for it. That good speed, but he overran the ball this time. And the strikers will counterattack. Balaito looking to move up. Not a good pass taken by Parkinson to Alan Green and tackled away.
Dangerous play
Yes,
there.
it was
on
a dangerous
Hudson.
play. So the ball given to Team America. Green with room to work with. Goes to the corner. Alan Green very quick. His cross into the box. DeBrito lets it go. Vanderbeck has it. Right foot shot. Just missed the net.
Tremendous shot. However, I think the referee's called a foul against Team America. Mike, it's very interesting to note that ball down the left wing had Alan Green going against Fogarty, and Alan's got a tremendous amount of speed, and Fogarty, we've just said, has had 4 operations, so Allenson can certainly outpace him.
Here is that play once again.
Tremendous drive by Perry Vanderbeek outside the far post.
Tobias lead it long by Brian Kidd, and it comes to Mauser.
Of course, it's Brian Kidd's first game since the first minute of the first game of the season when he was injured, knee ligaments, in Vancouver. First game of the season.
Savage ahead to Andy Parkinson, giving the ball to DeBrito. Pedro DeBrito, 23 years old. And now Team America has to go back into its own territory and set it up again. Cantor will lead the attack. Cross-field pass might be a little bit too far. It is. And the ball goes over the striker.
Trying to set Alan Merrick free from the left full-back position.
Team America leads this game 1-0 on a goal by Alan Green. America winning 1-0 on Thursday night against Tampa Bay. Into the corner, Segota chips it up. Look out here, and Mauser reached up and hauled it out of the atmosphere. But Kidd had an angle on that play, as did Mauser. Mauser able to use those hands.
Yes.
Was able to pull it down.
And of course, it's a good job. He's 6'3". However, I think he's given a foul against Kidd. You see a replay. The ball. I guess we don't see a replay. Arnie Mauser taking his time. Yes, we do see a replay. There's the volley kick all the way over to the far post. Arnie in good position, collected at full height. Brian Kidd comes in and causes the tackle and a foul.
Now another foul called here. Now the game has started out very quietly. He seems to be picking up in intensity as far as the physical play a little bit, Gordon.
Certainly, I think we can count the fouls more than the teams, maybe 20, 25 on each team today.
We've almost played 15 minutes here with the first half, and Team America leads 1-0. It'll be Ray Hudson. Hudson, pass to the edge of the box, cleared away. Parkinson was pushed from behind. Play goes on. Vanderbeek, good ball ahead for Green, and Whelan outpaces him. Green just could not quite get there. But Green is creating opportunities here. He's opening things up, it appears to me, for Team America, Gordon Bradley.
Certainly is, finding the space, going into it at the right time, and then he wants the ball delivered to him.
Whelan to the midfield area. Ray Hudson had it stripped off his leg. DeBrito. And to the near wing for Savage.
And Mike, here on the right full-back position, Bruce Savage, I think we've got Mr. Consistency here. Played excellent season.
Whelan able to intercept. Kobias ahead now for Hudson. Ran right by Phillip, put it into the box. Good play, but Mauser comes running out, and he got a hold of it before Segota could get there.
Well, that shows some of the courage the goalkeeper has to have, diving at a player's feet.
29-49 left here. First half of action. Mike Lang along with Gordon Bradley here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Hudson. Kick to the head. It's 1-0 Team America. We will take a break right now with the score. Team America 1, Fort Lauderdale 0. We'll be back in just a moment. Team America leading 1-0 over the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. The Strikers had a little bit of offense in the early going, but Team America now out shooting them 4-3 and lead the game 1-0. The cross into the box area. And Miller heads it over to the near side. It'll be a throw-in.
An excellent cross there, Mike, by Alan Murray. Got a very educated left foot. Can do practically anything with that ball.
America's played an awful lot of midfield in his career. Now at that left back position, and a pushing foul called here against Team America.
Mike, in the concept of building Team America, you know, Fort Lauderdale loaned 3 of their players to the Team America concept, and of course those 3 players, Arnie Mauser, Bruce Savage, and Andy Parkinson. Good to see them playing today. And of course Dan Kanda is another one, makes that 4.
Olitho had it deflected off Hayden Knight. Olitho has been a winner for most of his North American Soccer League career. Was with Vancouver for quite a while. The powerhouse teams they had. Kobias giving the ball to Kidd. Dishes it off to Villa. Now to Kobias. Just a little touch pass looking for Hudson. And Vandoff got up in the air to head it out of danger. And we're starting to see some pushing here.
A little bit pushing there between Kobias and Jeff Durgan. And the foul given against Kobias.
Durgan is just 21 years old. At a Stadium High School in Tacoma, Washington. Spent 3 years with the Cosmos. And one of the real up-and-coming, well, he really is. He's here now.
Certainly is. And 3 all-star performances by him each season.
Kobias developed, who was just recently signed, as Gordon Bradley mentioned to you, trying to find his way a little bit here in the North American Soccer League. Olitho. And that doesn't find anybody except Arnie Mauser.
Certainly confidently taken by Arnie.
Mauser, 28 years old.
From Brooklyn, New York.
Yes. Good long lead pass. Now they look for Green. They've got him in the box. Alan Green, the chip, just over that crossbar. Boy, Green's got so many moves. He's such a pleasure to watch play because the keeper doesn't know what he's going to do with the ball at any time.
Exactly, and of course there he used his intelligence and just tried to chip the ball over Van Beveren's head, who was 2 or 3 yards out of goal. Great effort by Alan Green.
You know, and how many times, Gordon Bradley, do you see strikers or people up front just trying to overpower a goalkeeper? But
Exactly.
Green uses
Very intelligent in the box. There he is again. Just looks around, chips it over the top, and just over the top of the bar.
Team America leading 1-0. 25-20 left first half. Large crowd on hand this afternoon at RFK Stadium.
Great crowd, Mike, isn't it? Great crowd. There must be 40,000 in the stadium already.
And Mauser with the long kick. Won momentarily by Fort Lauderdale, but Vanderbeck will get it back. And he lost it to Cabillas. Foul is called against Fort Lauderdale.
Against Ken Fogarty. Of course, the players of Fort Lauderdale standing around the ball to stop Pedro de Brito from taking a quick kick.
Unofficially, Fort Lauderdale has 5 fouls. Now this is Green again. Left foot kick blocked by Fogarty.
Allen has such a short backswing, he gets that shot up very, very quickly to the surprise of everybody.
His problem in his career has been injuries, especially hamstring pulls.
Certainly, and that's his latest injury.
De Brito. And we have an offside play called against Team America. Well, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers come into this game 3-6 on the year. As we mentioned to you, 0-4 on the road and 3-2 at home.
Of course, last night, Tampa Bay lost at home. Lost at home to Seattle 4-3.
Savage
this is
could throw it now. The kick by Rongan, and that's off Mauser. Mauser came out just enough to cut the angle down on Rongan.
Well, a rare mistake by Bruce Savage let Rongan in there.
Team America counter-attacking, wasting no time. Bandoff, left side to Hayden Knight with some room. Back to Bandoff, just a little too far, and Fogarty tackles it away. The ball belongs to Team America, however. Take a look at the Rongan move in tight on Arnold Mauser.
There it is. Bruce Savage lets the ball go past him accidentally, and Rongan side foot volleys it right under the chest of Arnie Mauser. Good position by Arnie.
Arnie didn't have much choice but to come out and challenge him.
And we needed in that.
Into the box, De Brito, and it's headed away by Fogarty.
Mike just mentioning, although Tampa lost the game last night, 4-3 at home to Seattle, they gained 3 points on bonus points and are now level on points with Team America at the top of the Southern Division.
Good passing by Fort Lauderdale. Man open right side. Balaito coming down, edge of that box. Balaito cross in front. Sakota shot and the save is made. Oh, great play by Mauser.
Well, Mike was offside when Balaito released that ball. Kidd, or was it Sakota, was in an offside position.
Well, they were called offside on the play, but I'll tell you, even hear that whistle, you're not going to stop. And what
That's
a great
exactly
play
right,
by
very
Mauser.
close. There's Balaito putting the cross over. There's Sakota, it was, in an offside position.
And back it comes to Mauser. Well, Mauser has looked impressive here in the first half of play. 22:35 left, and Team America leads on a goal by Alan Green. 1-0. The holding call. Balaito. Green, who dummies the ball, lets it go. Fogarty in. Green in a race for the ball. Green.
Well,
Pleads his case.
that sounds a foul on Allen.
All right, we will take a break right now. The score, Team America 1, Fort Lauderdale 0. We'll return in just a moment. Very hot and humid here this afternoon. Team America has been red hot. They've won 2 in a row, and they lead 1-0 here. The shots now 6-4 in favor of the Strikers. And at Van Beveren.
Mike, very unusual to see Van Beveren let that ball come away from him. Very safe goalkeeper. However, that one did get away. No Team America player there to get the rebound.
The foul is called on Team America. We put back into play. This Fort Lauderdale team going with 4 midfielders, Gordon Bradley, and trying to open up space to Sakota and Brian Kidd up front.
That's right. And of course, Brian's taking a little bit of time to settle down because it is his first game again. As I mentioned, of course, with Villa being a new player in the team, it's going to take them time to sink.
Now the ball again will go back to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Alan Green scoring his 2nd goal of the year for Team America. Well-placed shot, upper left-hand corner as he would look at the goal. And Hudson now, 35 yards away.
telling Cabillas to get in the pack.
Hudson looks like he's pondering, like the thinker.
And the team captain.
Skimmed up ahead, and Mauser will haul it down again. Team America's success this year, they have not scored a lot of goals. They now have 10 on the season, but they've been pretty good at dead ball situations, set plays, although the green goal did not come off one.
And of course, have only conceded 9 goals, which is excellent. Excellent defense.
Phillip looking ahead for Segota. Malaito finally controls. He kicked, looking for Thomas Rungan. It comes back to Ray Hudson. Hudson, 28 years of age, up to the edge of the box. Kidd heads it over. Rungan let it go for Phillip. Heads it down to Cabillas. Rungan, a little trick play there. Tried to knock it back to Cabillas on the give and go, and it's squared away by Team America. Very strong defensive team.
Very
Team
strong
America.
defensive team. Of course, Fort Lauderdale must be coming here to play because this powerhouse play of Team America has really excelled in the last several games. They work for each other. They try to make each other the best player on the team. They help one another, support each other. It's just tremendous to see this team play, Mike. Tremendous amount of morale on the team.
Well, they're well disciplined, and they have some enthusiasm.
Yes, they certainly have.
Back to Mauser. I know a lot of teams in the league do not want to lose to Team America.
No, they don't, and they've done exceptionally well after the first 9 games against.
Bandoff trying to move his way around Thomas Rungan of the Strikers. And a foul is called against Rungan. Finally got Bandoff off the ball, but illegally.
Here we see a replay of Boris Bandoff on the ball. Thomas Rungan checking. And upended him. It's certainly a foul. Boris takes his own kick. No, it's Alan Merrick takes the kick.
Merrick off Green. It comes to Hayden Knight. Couldn't get it back to Green in the box. And now Rungan counterattacking with some room.
Of course, Thomas wants to do well, coming back to his old field.
Parkinson, and he couldn't get the ball to Alan Green. Fort Lauderdale, you know, they move the ball pretty well, it appears, but they can't make that final pass of that play to get things really opened up, it appears to me.
Quite true, Mike. And I think that in the early stages here, that Team America seems to want the game more than Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
We have 17 minutes left, first half, and Team America holding on to a 1-0 lead. Mauser in goal for Team America, as we mentioned at the outset, second leading keeper in the league. Tino Lettieri of Vancouver, number 1 at 0.79. Cabillas over to Kidd. That left foot kick took off on him from 20 yards. And we will pause right now. 1-0 Team America. Back in a moment. Well, we are back to play here at RFK Stadium, and a corner belonging to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Hudson plants it down. Great playmaker.
Certainly is.
See where he goes with it. Edge of the box. Segota, right-footed and off the line by Hayden Knight. That saved the goal.
Well, certainly Hayden Knight was in the right position. That's the position he's supposed to be in on a corner kick, and cleared that ball. It was a certain goal if he'd missed it. Arnie was beaten all the way on that kick.
Well, we'll take another look at it.
Here Rocky puts the ball over. An outswinger. Side volleyed by Segota. There's Arnie dives. Couldn't have gotten it. Hayden clears off the line. Excellent save by Hayden Knight.
Covering that far post. Went to Marquette University, did Hayden Knight. Segota has 4 shots already here in the first half. And it is played back into Fort Lauderdale territory. Van Beveren and his team trailing now 1-0 against Team America.
Might be interesting for the viewers to see that on a corner kick, in most corner kicks, each full back should cover each post, and the sweeper, if they play with the sweeper, should be 2 yards off the inside post or the first post, and the goalkeeper about 2/3 the way across his goal.
Malaito left puts that one wide left, and the goal kick will belong to Team America. Well, Team America with Alan Green and Andy Parkinson teaming up gives them a little bit more of an offensive threat. They seem to work well together.
They do, Mike. They certainly seem to be more prolific up there. They're chasing balls. They're turning 50-50 balls into good balls. And Alan and Andy seem to play very well together here.
This is Andy Parkinson with Whelan chasing him to Alan Green. Green, number 28, lifts it back to the midfield area.
Bit of a stray pass, that one.
I think you could say that. Jeff Durgan, and an offside play called against Team America.
Interesting to note that Eddie Rogers, Team America's trainer and general manager Bo Rogers, were also working for Fort Lauderdale 2 or 3 years ago.
Both, of course, with Team America now. And it will be controlled by Bandoff. Into the box area. Parkinson went high in the air. Now to Green. And his right foot kick went to the left of Ben Beveridge. Was it touched?
I think it was touched.
Yes, if it is, it'll be a corner kick.
Corner kick. You see Pedro de Brito taking this corner kick. Of course, this is how we scored the winning goal against Tampa the other night. Similar situation. I'm wanting to see if Hayden takes up a near post position. There's Hayden on the near post. And the two central defenders on the far post. This could be dangerous, although it's going to be a right-footed outswinger. There it is.
Parkinson collides with his own teammate. Loose ball right in front of that goal and cleared away. De Brito with some room. Ronkin blocked it nicely. He tried to cross it back in, almost a second attempt on a corner kick because everybody was away from it.
Certainly a lot of danger on the first one.
Perry Vanderbeck along the line. Puts it to the near post, and Balaito cleared that away. Bronco Segota. And a foul is called.
Here we see that, yeah, we see that outswinger by Pedro de Brito. And I think it was Danny Kanda made a diving attempt to head it. There he is. The ball wasn't cleared. Jeff Durgan got a left foot on it, but it was cleared off the line. A lot of pressure by Team America.
Ken Fogarty. Upfield for Kidd. One in the air by Durgan, but it comes right back to the strikers. And Segota.
Very commanding in the airs, Jeff Durgan.
Balaito, I think, has had a fine first half here for Fort Lauderdale. To Ronkin, swinging in deep, right side, one-on-one. Ronkin, along the line, tried to put it in front of the goal, could not. Good defensive play by Alan Merrick. But the strikers keep the pressure on. Kidd heads it down. Back to Kidd, and he lets it go for Cobilla's shot. Great save, Mauser there. Fine passing by the strikers. A better save by Artie Mauser.
Great shot, great save.
That'll bring them alive here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C.
Great excitement there. Great excitement.
Mauser now with 9 saves here in the first half unofficially. That might have been his best one.
No question about that, Mike.
Cobilla's got all of a right foot to it, and he really
drilled it.
Pulled the trigger. And Mauser lets it go. We'll take a look at it again.
And as Cobilla's drove the ball, Arnie Mauser made a reactionary save, stopped the ball from going into the net. A great save, but a great shot by Cobillas.
We have just over 10 minutes left here in the first half. Team America still holding on to a 1-0 lead. Goal coming in the 9th minute of play by Alan Green.
A foul by Ken Fogarty on Andy Parkinson. Interesting, you know, Mike, on Team America's 1-0 victory over Tampa on Thursday night. I was talking to Hayden the night before the game, and he says, great to be back playing. He says, you know, I fancy myself for a goal today, and would you believe he scored a goal?
Well, he was out for 9 weeks. And coming back, putting the squad, of course, into first place in the Southern Division. This is Vela. Ahead for Cobillas, who has had a strong first half despite not scoring.
Certainly has.
Cobillas again, back with the ball. Little touch pass Segota. Now to Hudson, and a foul will be called here. It's against Team America. Oh, my. Can't proceed up here as Durgan comes after one of the strikers. And we may see some folks out of this game.
Well, certainly the first Team America player to get in there is always Jeff Durgan. Try to part the players away. We don't want any violence on the field. Of course, Durgan appealing to the referee, saying that Segota stomped on a Team America player. I do believe he's ejected a player with a red card.
That is Jeff Durgan. Well, that will not help Team America's cause at all. Durgan reacting to something, and he is long gone.
Well, there's Cobillas. Puts the ball inside. Danny Kanda intercepts. Branko Segota on the ball. Candace trailing him and tracking him down, and there we see the intended kick by Kanda. Segota upends him, and let's see what happens now. A little bit footwork going on there, nothing so dangerous, but of course Jeff comes over and gets a hold of Segota, and resulting from that, and I imagine that Jeff has said something to the referee, Jeff Durgan, I do believe, has been ejected with a red card. We'll only be playing with 10 men for the rest of the game.
Well, you have to question Durgan's motive on that one, because Erie's team has a 1-0 lead, and it appeared to be a fairly innocent play.
Well, Mike, I can only guess that maybe Jeff said something to the referee, possibly used abusive language.
Well, we will take a break. 1-0. Team America leads here. We'll be back at RFK in just a second.
This buzz for everyone who knows it.
With Ray Hudson, the advantage now definitely belongs to the strikers. The ball played away. Parkinson on the move. Parkinson has room. His kick just over that crossbar. Was it touched by Van Beveren or not? That'll be the question now. It's going to be a corner. It was touched.
Great individual effort by Parkinson. Here we see it again on the replay. Andy Parkinson outrunning Fogarty, chasing the ball down on the side of the 18-yard box, drills a right footer, and Jan Van Beveren just tips it, flicks it over the crossbar for a corner kick.
Great camera work, gentlemen.
Great camera work there. And of course, Mike, I don't think our viewers realize, but Algis Panagoulis has received a yellow card after Jeff Durgan was ejected with a red card.
The coach of Team America, and the ball lifted up around that goal mouth area. Van Beveren went up high. Well, as I mentioned, the advantage definitely has to belong to the strikers now. Of course, not only do they have the man advantage with Team America playing shorthanded, but they have a lot of powerful offensive players in this lineup, and you take that one man away, it could be a long afternoon.
And of course, that one man being the captain and the leader of this team, it's going to be a great loss. So we've got 10 men against 11, and Alan Merrick, the left fullback, has come into the center to mark Brian Kidd.
Team America now will have to show some of that top defensive four. And Savage able to do that, and he kicks it away. Alan Green giving chase. Alan Green losing it this time to Tony Whelan. Whelan at 6'1", has an overwhelming height advantage against Alan Green. Green a lot of times finds a way to get around those people.
He certainly does.
And the strikers with Thomas Ronga pushing the ball back to Balaito. Now to Ricardo Villa. To Cabillas, and Cabillas looking to push the ball back into the box, unable to do so. Counterattack by Team America. Vanderbeck has good speed.
No question about it.
Has a man open left side. Bandoff for Parkinson it is. Parkinson lifted in for Green. Headed up. And that is across the goal line.
Well, certainly Alan Green's made a difference in this forward line for Team America. Every time he gets the ball, he looks as if it's going to be dangerous or he could score a goal.
What does that do to the defending line, too, Gordon, when
Well,
you got a player like that?
Fort Lauderdale are playing against 10 men, but they want to make sure they don't go 2-0 down, because Team America are very good on counterattacks, as we've seen in the last 5 minutes or so.
Savage losing it to Cabillas. Cabillas finds Segota alone. Segota dribbling, has a nice move around Cantor. Segota stops, still controlling, and his kick was blocked by Alan Merrick.
Great support there by Alan Merrick on Dan Cantor.
Segota throws it in. Cabillas trying to move it around Vanderbeck. Foul's called against Perry. Well, Vanderbeck, 23 years old.
Seems to be injured. Holding his ankle. Perry, 5'10", 155, just 23 years old.
Out of St. Louis, Missouri.
And mentioned the other day that he captained the United States youth team. Also played for the Olympic team, and of course now for Team America.
Well, we've seen so many good American players coming out of the St. Louis area.
Really. Results last night interesting. On the West Coast, Golden Bay beat New York 3-1. Vancouver over Montreal 4-1, and of course on the East Coast, Seattle came into Tampa Bay and beat them 4-3 in overtime.
Gordon, as Team America looks at this game now shorthanded by a man, what changes will they have to make against Fort Lauderdale to try and protect the lead?
Well, just what has happened and what had to happen, Mike, is that Alan Merrick has to come in from the left flank position, and there we see a good shot of the crowd. Good crowd. Alan Merrick's come in from the left full-back position to cover Jeff Durkin's position in the centre of the defence, and Boris Bandov has dropped back from the left middle field into the left full-back position. We must have enough men or sufficient men defensively, and we've always talked about Team America having a good defence. We certainly have to see it today because they've only been left with 10 men.
Bruce Miller on the kick, and it is headed away by Savage, who, as Gordon Bradley mentioned, has been Mr. Dependable for the Team America squad this year.
Certainly has.
Segota, who was a goal scorer and has great size. There's the fouls. Fort Lauderdale 10, Team America 9. Pretty even in that department, but again, Team America playing shorthanded by a man the rest of the way. Jeff Durgan ejected, and that is high and wide of everything. And the goal kick will go to Team America. We have 5:37 left in the first half, and an Alan Green goal for Team America has them in front 1-0.
And I should think, Mike, the second half might take its toll regarding fatigue, exhaustion. It's a real humid day, close to the 90-degree mark.
Villa unable to win the ball, hold on to it. Vanderbeck will. Harry Vanderbeck. 2 men to beat. He's beaten the ball. Vanderbeck moves in. Another one. His right foot kick, and that is blocked. Vanderbeck still controlling. Great individual effort right now by Vanderbeck. De Brito, and his cross down low and cleared away by Fogarty. Well, that was just good hustle and some dazzling moves by Perry Vanderbeck. And again, his work rate has been just outstanding here in this first half.
Tremendous work rate, Mike.
Here's Green with some room. Made a move on Fogarty. Malito came back to cover up, though. Green is doing the job on Fogarty one-on-one.
Very dangerous there, and of course Malito did well to come back and take the ball away from Alan Green. I like the matchup, especially for Team America, where Alan Green's going against Ken Fogarty. Certainly got him beat for speed.
Segota again, he finds some room. Segota moves into the box. He got around Savage. The ball played across that goal line, and I think a corner now will... No, it isn't. It's going to be a goal kick.
Certainly good defense on that play. Here we see Alan Green putting it through the legs of Fogarty, and Bruce Miller coming back, recovering, and getting them out of danger with a pass back to Jan van Beveren. Fort Lauderdale players going over to the bench for ice, water, anything that can cool them down.
Well, Gordon, you've of course coached the Washington Diplomats for a few years and the New York Cosmos. You've been down on that field surface when the weather has been like this. Now, that's a 90-degree temperature converted, folks. And maybe you could tell us what it is like down on that surface.
Well, you know, Mike, there's different degrees of heat, and of course Fort Lauderdale being from Florida, they're used to playing in the heat, but there are different types of heat, and of course in Washington, where it's tremendous humidity, it does take its toll in the second half, and we'll see a change. It probably will be a change in Fort Lauderdale because they're not accustomed to this humidity, where Team America will come on maybe a little bit stronger, although we cannot forget that they're playing with 10 men, and they're going to try and preserve and protect the 1-0 lead. Games today, we've got Fort Lauderdale, of course, with Team America here, and we've got Chicago, Toronto, and Tulsa's playing at San Diego.
We'll have a replacement, Steve Wagerly.
That's interesting.
Going to come on for Fort Lauderdale. Not sure who he replaced. Well, maybe try and get an update for you on that. But Wagerly, one of the quicker men in the North American Soccer League. And talk about playmakers. Boy, they've loaded it up now offensively.
Certainly have. Another goal scorer in Wagerly coming on.
Alan Green, bump from behind. And I think a foul is called here. Evidently not. The throw-in will belong to Team America. Fort Lauderdale is an interesting team since 1977 and coming into the league. They have not had a losing season.
No, they haven't. A very good team, and always an attacking team, an exciting team to watch. Mike, I do think it's Brian Kidd that's come off. I cannot see Brian on the field.
No, Brian is on the field.
Brian is there?
He is there. Alan Green again, controlling, and that went wide. Just over 3 minutes left here in the first half. And again, the score, Team America 1, and Fort Lauderdale nothing. First of 4 meetings on the year.
First of 4 meetings, yes.
And Southern Division rivals. Ken Fogarty. He says he wants to be a writer when his playing days are over. We have a couple of fellas that do it. Ray Hudson of Fort Lauderdale wants to be a sports writer. Why would they ever want to get in this business?
Of course, Hayden Knight out of Marquette University has played for the Montreal Manique.
Into the box, Parkinson. And he did touch it. The throw-in belongs to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Hudson off the chest to Segota. Back to Hudson, left-footed. And Kidd bounced it down on the turf here. Natural grass here at RFK, and was picked up easily by Mauser.
A good effort by Kidd there. Good effort by Brian Kidd.
Green tried to win the ball. It is free at midfield, and Bruce Miller heads it to Kobias. And Kobias again with some room. Around a man. Kobias, edge of the box. Try to dribble it around. Bruce Savage unable to do that. And again the counterattack for Team America. They waste little time. To Alan Merrick. Long ball ahead. Green's offside in the play. Way behind the defense.
Mike, we've got Ricardo Villa has been substituted for Wegerle at the 40th minute.
And again back to Mauser.
Got to say well done Alan Merrick, although I don't think that was his intention. Ball came off the outside of his foot.
Wegerle has played in 7 games this year, has just 1 assist. And we'll do it over again. They'll bring it back as Team America will take possession. Just a little bit over 1 minute left now in the first half of play. Well, Mauser has been a stone wall for the Team America unit this afternoon so far.
And no question, if they go in at halftime with a 1-0 lead, they'll be very, very satisfied. Very satisfied.
And again, reminding you, those who may have joined us late, Jeff Durgan of Team America was ejected and left the game. So Team America will play the rest of the way, at this moment anyway, with 10 men on the field. If they should have somebody else ejected, of course, the numbers would go down. Team America, I think, would be content, as you mentioned, Gordon, right now, just to sit on the ball and take that 1-0 lead into the locker room. Just 24 seconds left.
Certainly will. And of course, the pressure will be on Fort Lauderdale in the second half.
And Fogarty has possession of it. Lead it up on the right wing to Belaytho. Brian Kidd chest cramp it to Kobias. Time is running out here, and it is kicked up towards Mauser, and that is it. The end of the first half of play here at RFK Stadium. On a very hot, humid afternoon, Team America has the lead over Fort Lauderdale, 1-0. We'll return with halftime activities in just a moment. Mike Lang along with Gordon Bradley back here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Team America battling the Fort Lauderdale Strikers this afternoon, and Team America leads the game 1-0 on a goal by Alan Green, who just returned to the lineup after being out quite some time with an injury. His second goal of the year. DeBrito and Savage assisting, and it is the only goal of the first half. Of course, Team America losing their captain and defender Jeff Durgan, and they'll be shorthanded the rest of the way in this game.
Certainly will, Mike. It's going to be a defensive battle in the second half, although this Team America playing with such enthusiasm and intensity. Fort Lauderdale is going to have all the work cut out to get back into this game. Alan Green, of course, scored a wonderful goal. It's nice to see him return. And here we have Ricardo Villa, an international player coming in with Fort Lauderdale. The chemistry just mustn't have been right for Dave Chadwick, the coach. And of course, he replaced him with Wegerle, Steve Wegerle. However, I do believe that Villa was limping somewhat and could have an injury. Nevertheless, Wegerle is a proven goal scorer, having played for Tampa Bay Rowdies, New York Cosmos, and now joined Dave Chadwick down at Fort Lauderdale. And I'm sure he'll be looking to make a name for himself in this game to see if he can help pull out a good score for them.
All right, some of the large crowd here at RFK Stadium this afternoon. Again, the score, Team America leading 1-0 at halftime. We'll have halftime comments after this from your local stations. Team America trying to win its third straight They had the only goal, of course, by Alan Green in the first half. Fort Lauderdale played very well, and I thought Mauser, coming in to play goal for the Team America squad, played very well in the first half.
Arnie Mauser, of course, Mike, has been outstanding. And, of course, this Team America, I cannot speak so highly of them because they're working with so much enthusiasm. They keep coming forward, and any team that comes to play Team America, they've got to be on their toes because they're physical, they've got a lot of power, and, of course, they've got a lot of skill, as we saw in Alan Green's goal. The chemistry just isn't quite right for Fort Lauderdale. David Chadwick's got some great individual players, but it takes 11 players to make a team. And although they've been dangerous, Team America shows that they want this game more than Fort Lauderdale. That's noticeable to me.
Gordon Bradley, looking at the loss of Jeff Durgan, and we talked about it during the first half. How much of a factor is this going to be in this game?
It's got to be a factor, especially in the second half. However, the heat and the humidity could neutralize Fort Lauderdale. But this second half, to get on equal terms, they've got to push forward. Alan Merrick has come in to take Jeff Durgan's place. But who really can take Jeff Durgan's place? Not only a leader on the field and off the field. His climbing ability in the in there and his power with his head is unbelievable. And we cannot really replace Jeff Durgan. So we've got to be really on our toes, on our mettle, to keep out these Fort Lauderdale strikers the second half.
Of course, the only goal of the first half was scored by Alan Green, his second of the year. And we'll have an opportunity to take a look at it right now.
Well, there we see the ball coming over. Jeff Durgan slides the ball to Bruce Savage, who's available for that pass, and he diagonals that ball all the way over. Pedro de Brito does a great thing, opens his legs, and lets it go to Alan Green. Alan Green shoots it on the half volley off the underside of the crossbar. Jan van Beveren just didn't see it. It was a great goal.
Well-placed shot by Alan Green. Well, we'll have more here from RFK Stadium. The start of the second half coming up after this word from your local stations. Here our look at halftime statistics for both clubs, Gordon.
Well, the shots seem pretty equal. Team America's got the edge 12-10. Fouls are pretty equal, 25 in the game, 13 to the strikers and 12 against Team America. Only 3 corners, that's interesting, the first half, and 2 to the strikers. Saves, of course, 6 by Arnie Mauser. Outstanding game by Arnie Mauser. 3 to Jan van Beveren. And you know, just looking out here this afternoon, Mike, great day. We were here at about 11:30 this morning, right? We saw the kids, the youth of this country playing soccer, the girls, the boys having a great time here. We've got 45 upwards for this exciting game, Team America Fort Lauderdale, and of course afterwards the Beach Boy concert. What better day can you have in RFK Stadium, Washington, D.C., the nation's capital?
Team America coming on, and look at Alan Green, the only goal of the game scored by Alan.
Notice Alan's had a haircut, seems to have it cut right down there.
The Beach Boys made it back to Washington.
Yes, they did.
Invited here, and they are going to have, after the concert here this afternoon, a visit with the folks at the White House.
Well, that's wonderful. Of course, they're doing a half hour for the Special Olympians at the White House, and I think that's just fantastic.
There's Arnie Mauser, who had 6 saves in the first half of play. There was some question as to who would be the starting goalkeeper here this afternoon. Hammond, of course, coming off the victory on Thursday in a 1-0 win.
Of course, no problem with Paul Hammond. He's a proven goalkeeper. He's played exceptionally well this season. However, I know Algis Panagoulias wants to keep Arnie Mauser in touch, and therefore he's made the decision to play him today. And I think it was a wise decision. It was a good decision.
Jan van Beveren, his counterpart, in the net. They change ends here for the beginning of the second half.
Interesting, you know, Mike, that not now when we're looking at Van Beveren, but a goalkeeper generally goes to the 6-yard line and scribs his mark so to indicate where he is when he's out of the goal. Of course, there's Davey Chadwick trying to incur some confidence into his team and into Jan van Beveren.
Very likable gentleman, David Chadwick.
Very likable coach, 39-year-old, and I know he's glad to be back to Fort Lauderdale, where, of course, he was a player for that team. There's Algis, looks somewhat calm outside. I'm sure he's chomping at the bit inside.
Chico Boya, who may be coming in to replace Alan Green in the second half, and to his right, Saliascu. And here we go, second half underway. Vanderbeck. And remember, again, Team America has only 10 players on the field. Jeff Durgan was ejected in the first half of play. Drew the red card. Alan Green working against Tony Whelan. And now to DeBrito. Pedro push it over to Vanderbeck, who has had a strong afternoon for Team America. Vanderbeck to Green. Green dancing with that ball. And now chipped up into the box. And Balaito heads it over right to Hayden Knight. Knight falling down. Where's the foul going to go? It's going to go against Fort Lauderdale. Hayden Knight. I think it was outside of the box. If it would have been, it's going to be, if it is, indirect kick.
It's inside, but it's indirect for obstruction. He's called indirect obstruction there by Balaito. And given an indirect free kick.
Hayden Knight, who had the game-winning goal on Thursday night.
Of course, Hayden did very well here because he hung out on the far left side to get that ball that came over the head of Balaito, and of course Balaito just obstructed his movement forward. So it's an indirect free kick to Team America. Hayden seems to be injured. It didn't seem to be a nasty obstruction by Balaito, and I think he's going to be all right.
It was a good call by the referee.
It was a good call.
However, now this is a good dead ball situation. Set play coming up here for Team America.
Well, definitely he was in the box. If it had been a major foul, that would have been a penalty kick. However, it was a minor obstruction called, so the ball has to be relayed off another player, whether it's a Fort Lauderdale player or a Team American player. And of course, the free kick was given to Alan Green, and he curled it into Van Beveren's hands.
We have another score in the North American Soccer League at halftime. Chicago and Toronto tied at 1 apiece.
Well, Toronto's certainly an improved side this year, and now they've got Bettega, the outstanding player from Juventus, the famous Italian club.
Whelan, move it up, Bruce Miller. And Whelan tried to save the ball. It goes into that far corner.
Mike, I think we're going to find that it's going to be very, very difficult for the players to keep concentration this half because exhaustion is sure to set in.
Fogarty tending to his own back line. Ahead now to the midfield area. Cobias. To the near side to Bob Balaito. Balaito in the early going of the game was overlapping, moving in quite a bit. Now he's kind of backed off. He'll push it up to the edge of the box. Alan Merrick.
Well, this is very interesting to note, Mike, because Team America is playing with 10 players. Alan Merrick, who was left full back for the team, is pushed in to the center of the field to take Jeff Durgan's position. Boris Bandoff has dropped into the left full back position, Hayden Knight into the left midfield position, which allows Balaito, that right side, to come up a little bit.
And Bandoff trying to protect a 1-0 lead. Look for Alan Green. That went right by. And Whelan, 30 years old. Up ahead now, Bruce Miller tried to storm his way by Alan Merrick.
Excellent tackle by Alan Merrick. Very experienced player.
And Savage again, that defensive unit of Team America again.
Mr. Consistency.
Coming to the top.
No question about it. Of course, Arnie allowing the players 10 or 12 seconds rest.
Mauser with that left foot. Hayden Knight will try and win it in the air. Balaito is the man that did so for Fort Lauderdale. Cobias, long pass up in the box for Brian Kidd. Push it out nicely to Miller. He'll look for the cross. He'll put it into the box area. And Bandoff again covering up his own end of the field. Got it back to the midfield area. Fort Lauderdale trying to put some sustained pressure now and go for the tying goal. Cobias to skim it ahead, and it went right by everybody to Mauser's hands.
Tremendously skillful player, Cobias. And of course, their top goal scorer with 6 goals, 13 points in total.
DeBrito. Parkinson. Andy Parkinson leads the way for Team America with 5 points. They have not been a big scoring club during the course of this year, but they are 5-4, and their mainstay has been defense. They control the ball. DeBrito. Naturalized citizen of the U.S. Coming up the near side to Hayden Knight. He's pushed from behind by Balaito, and that foul will be called.
Certainly a foul.
What is it going to take for Fort Lauderdale to get back in this game, do you think, Gordon? Are they just going to have to storm and push forward as much as possible?
Well, there's lots of time to go yet, so they're having to go off their strategy as set up by the coach. However, they have to put some pressure on them at some time. And they've got the players, Mike. They've got the players to do that.
They're well skilled, no question about it.
Whether they want it enough, that's the question.
Kubias surveying the scene, and he'll put it up into the box. And it's an offside play called against Fort Lauderdale. They seem to move the ball well from their own end up to the midfield area, but trying to penetrate that box and make the final play. They've had some trouble, although they have had some good shots on Arnie Mauser.
No question.
Balaito heads it up. Whalen just puts it down on the natural grass here to Van Beveren. And his arm pass out left side to Miller. Miller is 26 years old. Out of Canada, went to Simon Fraser University. And he'll left-footed ahead. Merrick's the guilty party on this.
Well, it was the guilty party, and it was a foul, but the intensity which Alan Merrick and the rest of the team are using this afternoon is just a credit to Team America.
Thomas Rungan leaving the ball at the midfield for Steve Wagerly. Wagerly replacing Ricardo Villa in that first half of action. And Miller's unable to trap it. And again, it goes to Team America. Well, Paul Hammond of Team America, not playing in goal today, has 3 shutouts on the year. An 0.84 goals against average. Arnold Mauser came into this one at 0.87. He has 1 shutout. So Team America already with 4 shutouts in the early going in 9 games. Alan Merrick. Long ball, but it comes right to Balaito of Fort Lauderdale. To Whalen, playing on that back line for the Strikers.
Of course, we see that right side open, which we know about.
Team America shorthanded by a man, Jeff Durgan, ejected in the first half. And again, it is the Strikers unable to make the play into that box area. And the defense of Team America that shuts them down.
Well, it's not going to be easy for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers to score because the 6 or 7 defenders just packing that area. Interesting to hear Hayden Knight's there. It's the Pac-Man defense that just gobble the opposition up.
Hayden Knight let that one cross the line. He will be throwing the ball in.
Interesting to note that one of Hayden's sisters was voted Miss Latin America not too long ago. 7 brothers and 2 sisters.
Parkinson heads it over to Alan Green, to Perry Vanderbeck. He lost control. Wagerly. Now for the Strikers. Very closely marked by Vanderbeck. Goes to Kidd, back to Wagerly. Wagerly, little dancing moves to Kidd, and he finds nobody in the box area. And that ball belongs to Team America. We will pause right here with the score. Team America wide. Fort Lauderdale nothing. We'll return to RFK in just a moment. We are back to action here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Team America leading Fort Lauderdale 1-0. And Hayden Knight, who just moments ago during our break almost scored a goal to give the Team America 2-0 lead. Just missing. Hopefully we'll get a chance to take a look at that. Here is Brian Kidd. Kidd has played a little bit more than I think people have thought he would. Wagerly, right side. And they look for Hudson. Vanderbeek again breaks up the play, and it'll be Parkinson back to midfield. Wagerly moving on Parkinson now, cuts inside, the edge of the box to Ray Hudson. Hudson spin it off to Balaito of the Strikers in the air, and it is controlled by Mauser. We'll take a look at what happened while we were away.
Well, that would say Alan Green be the defender coming in along the goal line, drills it over. And there's Hayden comes in to meet the ball and completely misses the ball altogether. Well, it just ricocheted off the outside of his foot, but we could have been, or Team America could have been 2-0 just on that play.
On the attack, Whalen for the Strikers. He crosses, look out, and Mauser reaches over to take the ball. Brian Kidd was trying to get himself into position. There are the shots for the second half.
Well, we certainly got to credit Tony Whelan for getting past Bruce Savage. It's not every day of the week you do that with Bruce Savage. And, of course, Arnie Mauser's positioning was excellent. He dove out and stopped the ball from going across to Brian Kidd.
Savage out of Hollywood, Florida. 2 years in Atlanta and 1 year with Fort Lauderdale in the NASL. Handoff deflected that one off Wagerly. So the ball will belong to Team America. 34-37 left here in the second half. And the goal by Alan Green of Team America. The only one so far coming the 9th minute of play in the game. 1-0. Team America leads. Hayden Knight. Crossing. Has a man there. Vanderbeck moves in. His shot. It took off Perry. Vanderbeck had an opportunity there, and Van Beveren knew that he was beaten on the play, but he came out, just challenged him, and Vanderbeck let it go wide.
Of course, Mike, I'm sure Perry Vanderbeck would have liked to have controlled that ball a little bit better than what he did. It just got that 2 or 3 feet in front of him. Jan Van Beveren came out. He would see it on a replay. While Van Beveren is injured, Hayden Knight takes the throw in. Right to Alan Green. Protects the ball, then sets Hayden away with a back heel. Hayden gets his cross in with his right foot all the way past everyone to Perry Vanderbeck. There we see him play it just that little bit too far ahead. He stretches his right leg and puts it high and wide.
Now Van Beveren is down at the moment, the goalkeeper for Fort Lauderdale. Here's another look from a different angle.
Well, a good right foot cross by Hayden all the way to the unmarked Perry, just a little bit too far in front of him. And Jan Van Beveren, although putting pressure on, didn't have to touch that ball. It went high and wide.
Team America leads Fort Lauderdale here at RFK Stadium. We'll be back. Feet, and he'll be attended to by the trainer of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Van Beveren was hurt on that play, and they do not have a replacement as far as a keeper coming in on their substitute.
That's a very interesting point, Mike. Here we've got a situation where we play international rules. There's 11 players on a team. 3 substitutes are on the bench. However, the coach can only use 2 out of 3. Many times the coach decides not to come up with a substitute goalkeeper because it's a rarity for a goalkeeper to be injured. However, Jan Van Beveren is injured, but he has to stay in goal because they haven't a substitute goalkeeper. And coincidentally, Algis Panagoulias has not got a substitute goalkeeper on his bench either.
Well, Team America has made a substitution with that brief injury timeout. Van Beveren and Chico Boria has come in to replace Andy Parkinson. Bora coming in is 23 years old. And still, Team America short-handed by a man as Jeff Durgan went out of the game in the first half of play. Vanderbeck giving chase, and it crosses that far side.
And credit to Andy Parkinson, played an excellent game, teamed up very, very well with Alan Green. Let's see if Chico Borja can keep up the good work.
Green coming off the injury with the hamstring. Still in there. We had expected him maybe to go out of the lineup. Borja to replace him, but that was not the case. We are now down to 33 minutes and 10 seconds left in the second half of play.
Mike, not so easy to play on this field. RFK has got the football team, the Federals playing. Of course, as you can see, a lot of grass off the field. It's a hard field. The ball bounces and it's difficult to control many times. I'm sure Perry had that problem a little bit earlier on when he tried to control that cross by Hayden Knight.
Cantor with that goal kick up ahead of the midfield area. Bruce Miller to Branko Segota. Segota can't find anybody. And Bandoff looking up for Bora, and it's not completed. Fort Lauderdale again with that extra man, and this will be Merrick guilty of a foul, knocking down Kidd.
Oh, and Kidd's now fouled Merrick.
A favor.
Totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Brian Kidd, he got the foul and then went and tripped up Alan Merrick. I should think it has to be a card. Not a red, but certainly a yellow. He's got it.
Dino de Placido, the referee, has issued the yellow card to Brian Kidd.
It was definitely a foul by Alan Merrick. The referee blew the whistle, gave the free kick to Fort Lauderdale. However, Brian Kidd, totally unnecessary, tripped up Alan Merrick and has now resulted in getting a yellow card. Big boy Brian Kidd, 180 pounds, and a goal scorer. He has been all through his career.
Led this club last year with 15 goals. And Kobias to that left side. Fort Lauderdale trying to get the equalizer. It'll go to Miller. And played away across the goal line. The corner now will belong to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
Certainly got to credit Alan Merrick with the job he's doing, taking Jeff Durgan's place in the center of the defense. An experienced player, a leader in his own right. Of course, we always say that all players should be captains on the field. This looks like an in-swinger by
Steve Wagerly to take the kick. And Mauser went high in the air to reset. Well, that size helps, 6'2". Hammond, the other keeper for Team America, at 6'1", so they do have some height.
Really do, and the high balls are no problem.
Hayden Knight. Up there, Balaito heads it back to midfield. Wheeling back to Bob Balaito. And now Fogarty. Ray Hudson. They'll look to make the play here. Goes that left side. Wagerly left puts it in. Kidd now back in front of the goal. Dangerous play here. Hudson with a shot. Hauser, a great save there. Hudson almost scored. Cleared right up the doorstep by Merrick. Hauser has been sparkling here this afternoon for Team America. And a foul is called against the Strikers. The ball will go to Team America.
Well, we've certainly got to credit Rocky Hudson for that effort there, but we've also got to credit Arnie Mauser for a tremendous save. Although he didn't completely make a save, the defenders were supporting him and they cleared that ball. Here we see a replay of it. Wegerly crosses the ball all the way over past the goalkeeper, over the far side of the goal. It was headed back in by Brian Kidd. Rocky Hudson comes onto the ball, controls it with his body, and there he hits a shot just to the right-hand side of Mauser, who makes a great stop with his right hand, doesn't quite get a hold of it, and then is cleared by the defenders.
We're back to live action. Harry Vanderbeck of Team America to put it back into play here in Fort Lauderdale territory. Bora will chase after it, chips it up in the air, gets his own pass back, and a dangerous play called there against Team America.
Certainly dangerous play by Chico, but very skillful player. He's a joy to watch, very exciting, and can take on players. Of course, loaned from the Cosmos, where he started the last 2 years.
The New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Yes, and scored 60 goals in his college, 25 in the last year. A goal scorer. And of course, Team America's top goal scorer at my goal is Parkinson.
Parkinson leads the club in points accumulated.
And Borja in goals.
Fogarty. And to Cobias. Cobias giving the ball to Thomas Rungan. Bruce Miller now, they've got to start moving up, I would think, here, Gordon Bradley, and just really try and push the attack to get that tying goal. They have the man advantage.
Certainly have, and of course they've got 29 minutes left to do it.
Mandoff puts it out of that box area. Alan Green trying to run over the ball, and a dangerous play called here against Fort Lauderdale.
So fast, Alan, so fast. We like the situation where he's 1 against 1 because with his speed and anticipation, his reading of the game, very experienced player.
Broncos Segota.
Dan Cantor going to take the kick. Dan's out of Penn State.
And controlled by DeBrito. DeBrito running that right side. He tried to cross it over, and that would just sail off his foot.
Coincidentally, Mike, Dan Cantor, runner-up as Rookie of the Year, but he was runner-up to Pedro DeBrito.
DeBrito is 23 years old, 6'1", 170-pounder. Team America has some size on this club.
Yes, they have.
Van Beveren lifting the ball to the midfield area. But it'll be Team America settling it and controlling, and Vanderbeck. Left side for Green, couldn't get it through to it. Bora makes a nice play. Green will try and shield the ball now.
Offside.
Offside play called here. I don't think Green heard the whistle.
No, he didn't.
We certainly didn't, because he was continuing the play. Now 2 strikers trying to converge on Savage. He lost possession. Wagerly. Wagerly along the line. Push it over very nicely. Segota. Back to Wagerly. Wagerly crossing. The kid
Oh,
scored. Pretty goal by the Strikers, and they have tied the game at 1-1.
Mike, it's a goal. It's a good goal. They played calculated soccer there. The cross came in, and Brian Kidd took his opportunity, headed it past Arnie Mauser. It was a good goal.
Well, Wegerle really moving that ball around, and he made the play.
Certainly did, and there he is. Got the ball before Savage. Puts the ball in to Segura, who brings it past, beats his man, gives it back to Wegerle, and then who crosses it with his left foot. Kidd comes in, dive heads it past Arnie Mauser. Of course, there we see a close-up of it. Outside of the right foot pass to Segura, brings it inside, and where he does it, turns it back and gives it to the unmarked Wegerle. Wegerle's cross follows left foot, and there Brian Kidd finishes it off. Very good goal.
Alan Green moving into that box area, and it's quite away to Van Beveren. I want to say something on that last play. For the first time in a while, we saw two Fort Lauderdale players really go after the ball in that corner. They had the man advantage, and it appeared they wanted that ball.
Yes, they did, Mike, and it was a good goal. We cannot take anything away from Fort Lauderdale.
Balaito in a 1-1 game here in the second half. 26 minutes left in regulation time. Ray Hudson controlling for the Strikers. Let's see if that goal gives them a big lift. They can put the pressure on. Wegerle again moving it around well to Hudson, the kid. And a foul is called against Fort Lauderdale in the box.
Well, certainly in the last 2 or 3 minutes, Fort Lauderdale have played some tremendous soccer. Controlled soccer, short passing, and of course finished off with 2 shots. However, that one, a foul was given.
The official time of the goal by Kidd at 62:46. And it is Kidd's first goal of the year. So he comes back to make an impression after being out since the first game of the season.
No question about it. Of course, there's 2 players that's responsible for the goals. Alan Green coming back after a hamstring injury, scoring the goal. And Brian Kidd scoring a goal after being out for several weeks.
Foul has been called against the Strikers. Knocking their own into the field.
Well, it's a new ball game.
Bandoff. Bora looked the situation over. And Bandoff crossing in the air. Hayden Knight just couldn't get the forehead to it. Still controlled by Team America. Bora heads it out looking for Hayden Knight. And Kobias makes a good play, but it's returned to Team America. Bora, a little heel pass.
Well, certainly good intention there by Bora. After a great sliding tackle by Hayden Knight to recover that ball. Hayden certainly looked physically tired.
There'll be a few players, and Bora is kind of limping back in the midfield area.
Yes, and Hayden hasn't played a full game since he broke his foot in March.
Team America will gain possession here. The foul against the Strikers. And Merrick chips it up ahead on the right wing. Savage went after it, but it'll be taken away by the Strikers. Kobias. There's a man open right wing, and he's got Balaito in stride. Bob Balaito motioning for somebody to come across. He'll move it to the far post area. And Arnold Mauser, but we have an offside play called here against the Strikers. He's trying to get somebody to cut in from that left wing. We have a 1-1 game here at RFK Stadium.
Certainly, the game slowed down just a little bit, and of course the pace couldn't be kept up in this 80+ degree heat.
DeBrito, nice chip, left side Bandoff. Bandoff crossing, looking for Green. It hits something, comes to Vanderbeck, trying to be Whelan. He is hit from behind. Play goes on to Brito. At the edge of the box, Balaito heads it away. But controlled by Hayden Knight. Now Team America trying to move up. Knight puts it in to that box area. Bora is hobbling. There's no question he is hurt and struggling right now.
No question about that. Chico Bora is hobbling.
And again back at the midfield. Cantor got the ball, but it's to Vanderbeck. Bora chest cramp. Trying to beat 2 men. And unable to do that. Hudson push it ahead to Segota.
Great outlet pass by Hudson.
Yes, it was. And Segota moving up very quickly. Kobias is open left side. Segota tried to make the move himself. And Cantor made a good defensive play to knock it off his foot.
Of course, Wegley was open on the left wing, and we questioned whether Segota did the right thing there. However, Wegley has got possession of the ball now.
And he will go to Segota. Give and go back into the box. Coming out is Mauser, having to take control of it.
And there's the courage of Arnie Mauser again. Played a superb game today. The heat's taking its toll.
Yeah, we've talked most of the contest with Durgan out. The effect of being shorthanded. And Fort Lauderdale coming on here in the second half of play to tie the game. Harry Vanderbeck.
And generally, Mike, the momentum switches to the team that just scores the goal. And, of course, they've tied the game at a great time. 21 minutes left. Time for many more goals by either side.
Vandoff moving to the left wing, unmolested. He'll cross it over, and Ronga. He'll kick it out of the box. Tobias moves his way around traffic. Tobias right up the middle of the field. And open left wing. It's Kidd. And Kidd's left foot kick. That went wide left. We will pause right now with the score. Team America 1, Fort Lauderdale 1. We'll be back in just a moment. We are back to live action here at RFK Stadium, Washington, D.C. A look at the score, and the corner kick will belong to Team America right now. The near side corner, and it will be Pedro De Brito to handle it.
Of course, Mike, he was his substitute being made. And Chico Borja, who has been noticeably limping, is being replaced by number 13, Tony Crescitelli, Tony C.
Out of North Adams State. Has not been able to get a goal this year. He certainly had a lot of opportunities, leads the club in shots. And we're back to play. Short little pass into Vanderbeck. Vanderbeck with room. And his kick went wide, right of the net. It almost looked like the play was stopped. It was.
It was
stopped.
Yeah. Yes, it was stopped.
The referee is back here converging in the
having a discussion with his linesman while the play was going on. The corner kick will have to be retaken. The referee didn't indicate the play should start. Mike, interesting. Tony Crescitelli out of North Adams State, Division III college. He was top goal scorer in the nation 2 consecutive seasons.
De Brito, good look at him. Now, what will be the setup here, Gordon?
Well, certainly it's the right setup. Tommy Rongan on the post, 2 full backs on the post, and the goalkeeper 2/3 the way across his goal. So defensively well protected.
The canter of the far post went by M. Green, though. Able to retrieve it in the right wing corner. Look for Savage, and it's picked off. And counter-attacking. The strikers 3-on-2.
3-on-2.
Hudson moving up. Savage trying to get back in the play. Good defensive play by Merrick to break up the attempted crossing pass. Merrick again, clearing the ball to the near side. And he bought Team America some extra time on that maneuver.
Alan Merrick has been outstanding today defensively.
Game is tied at 1. We're in the second half with 19:25 to go in regulation time. Segota works the line, crossing, far post. That's by everybody.
Well, it certainly looked like the ball was out and it curled back in. Referee's given a goal kick.
That is going to be the call. Now time is being called again. We're going to have another replacement coming up here on the strikers' side of the field. And Fogarty will come out. Ken Fogarty will head away to that far side. Well, he might be just talking to Coach David Chadwick. He might not be the man coming off.
Some reorganization taking place.
Tony Whelan will sit down. Tony Whelan will be sitting down, and we'll have the replacement coming in for him.
I think it's big Roger Davies.
That is who it is.
Well, obviously, Mike, I see Thomas Rongan and Ken Fogarty going to play double central defenders with Bellido and Miller on the right and left. This allows Branko Segota to come out from being a front striker to a midfield striker and playmaker, because Roger Davies, who everyone remembers playing for Seattle and being a goal scorer, teams up now with Brian Kidd. This will be interesting because both are English players and accustomed to many high balls, which is the type of soccer we see in England today. A lot of high balls and a lot of head balls. So we've got Kidd and Davies as a double striker now
Fort Lauderdale.
And certainly now, when you look at it with Durgan out of the lineup, this is would be a little bit of a, well, there's a weakness for Team America. Alan Green, play goes on. We have an injured player at midfield. Green went down also. And the midfield area, Vanderbeck is the man down.
I think the referee quite wisely stopped the play immediately. Sometimes he lets the ball go out of play before he stops the game, but Perry Vanderbeck looks, is it Perry? Yes, Perry Vanderbeck.
We'll take a look at it. What happened here? He ran into Rongan.
It looked as if Rongan got a foot in his stomach.
And Green kept the play going. They said play on, and Green went right over the top of Fogarty. Working on the right thigh of Perry Vanderbeck.
Eddie Rogers, the trainer for Team America.
Well, we have a chance right now to take a break. We'll do so. We're tied at 1. We'll return. Live action here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. Thomas Rongan just guilty of a foul for the Strikers. And the free kick going to Team America. They have not been able to score since the 9th minute of play when Alan Green cashed in. And it will be the Strikers with Kubias moving the ball along very nicely. To open space left wing. Sagota's the first man there for the Strikers. Looks the situation over. We'll go to Wagerly. Wagerly outside the box. Bob Balaitho shields the ball. They move in on him, on a good tackling play there by Merrick to push it back to midfield. With the Strikers again with a handle on her. Wagerly. Edge of the box. Hayden Knight.
Mike, the appearance of Wagerly on as a substitute has definitely assisted and helped Fort Lauderdale. They seem to have come more alive.
Davies with that long play to the far post, and Mauser again reaching up high to capture it.
Certainly going to have to bring them a little bit more into the field of play to beat Arnie Mauser on those high balls.
Well, the physical condition of both these clubs now will be of an extreme importance, I think.
Determining factor, I'm sure.
And again, Team America playing with only 10 men on the field. Sagota, the left side to Wagerly. And he will right-foot it off that goal line.
Certainly one of Steve Wagerly's favorite plays, coming on the inside of the fullback and drilling balls with his right foot into the goal. Scored many goals like that. And of course, just getting back to Teofilo Cubillas, the Peruvian, Mike, a thoroughbred player in the twilight of his career now, but represented his country on many, many times and is a favorite down in Fort Lauderdale, especially with the Latin public.
Tony Crescitelli, and he knocked it down across the line. The throw-in belongs to the Strikers, and Rongan moving it to Fogarty. Green putting pressure on Cubillas. It comes to Rongan. Team America has not really had any sustained threat for quite some time now, and the Strikers are the team that appear to be taking the upper hand.
Could possibly be with the 10 men against 11. It's taking its toll now, that one missing man, and of course the missing man is Jeff Durgan.
Hudson crossing. It is taken by Roger Davies in the air, and the offside play. Hudson was in behind. Just over 15 minutes left in regulation time, and reminding you there is overtime in the North American Soccer League. Should we be tied at the end of 90 minutes of play?
And then, if it's still tied, our favorite shootout.
There'll be some tongues on the natural turf here if we go to that, Gordon.
Sure there will be.
Very, very hot. Here's Vanderbeck trying to make a move, and his kick. It'll be given to the Strikers. I wanted to wait and see whether or not it was going to be a corner kick.
Well, it looked to be a corner kick. The ball seemed to ricochet off Fogarty. However, the referee's given the goal kick, and it's already been taken, and Cubillas is in control.
I think the linesman helped make that play because he pointed directly at the goal box area. And Zagota trying to move around Savage. He is upended. Play goes on. Alan Merrick looked ahead for Alan Green. And again, It is Team America unable to push the ball up with any authority at the last few moments. Hayden Knight trying to make it happen. It comes to Green. Now back to Hayden Knight. Knight is on the attack.
Hayden's got Pedro on the wing, and of course the ball goes there.
DeBrito trying to move around two men, and he is pulled down. A foul will be called against the strikers. Now DeBrito did a good job of helping draw that one too.
No
As he
question
moved
about
into
it.
traffic. That's part of the game also.
Really is, Mike. And of course, here we see Perry van der Beek coming up with Dan Cantor. They've got Tony Crescitelli and Hayden Knight in there, so a high ball to the far post can get some heads on it. Dan, of course, indicating that he's there. Pedro DeBrito sees him.
And DeBrito with the right foot off the side, and he tried to put it to the short side. He almost got that one in.
Well, that was an excellent effort. He hit it with the outside of his right foot and nearly caught Van Beveren unawares. Made him dive to the near post and just saved that ball. A great effort by DeBrito.
That is the best scoring chance Team America has had in quite some time. Zagota rambling back, though, for the strikers. Game is tied at 1. Late here in regulation time, 13 and a half minutes to go. Wagerly chipping. Outside of the box, Roger Davies will settle it. Push it, nice pass through to Balaito. Balaito along the line, crossing, and he tried to fight up Mauser. Now the shot and the rebound.
Saved by
That is off a leg. Savage made a big defensive play.
Great defensive play.
DeBrito running with the ball. And Bruce Miller. A good effort for the strikers to take it away. The momentum belonged to Team America. And it will be across that far side. We'll take a look at it.
Well, here's that free kick with the outside of the foot, and Van Beveren gets drawn to the goal line on the near post. That's certainly a near thing. And seconds later, would you believe, we're down at the other side. A hard cross, Arnie Mauser parries the ball. It's driven in here by Fort Lauderdale player and saved by Bruce Savage on the line. Great defensive play by Team America.
Balaito looked as though he was going to take the cross, but he went to the short side.
Certainly
Mauser had
did.
to be very, very alert to make that stop. And Mauser plays it up to midfield, pushed from behind is Crescitelli. It is going to be a foul against Thomas Rongan and the strikers.
Of course, Thomas and Tony have played with each other many, many times, and now they're playing against each other. Tony actually had a little short spell playing indoor with Fort Lauderdale a couple of seasons ago. But both familiar with each other's play.
Played up into that box area, and that foul goes against Crescitelli, Tony Crescitelli. Push it off. And Steve Wagerly leading the attack for Fort Lauderdale. They have tied the game here in the second half. Kubias,
Balaito over on the far side.
he is wide open. Comes to the box. Band off the beat, makes a nice little move on him, goes to that line, cross it over, and it's going to be a corner kick for the strikers. Well, Balaito's coming on with some pressure here. He has space to work with.
Exactly. Mike, we talked about Jeff Durgan leaving the field and Merrick going central defense and the other player sliding down. It opens the right wing for Balaito to come up, and of course he's penetrated in the last couple of minutes twice.
Short pass in, Wagerly. Back to Hudson. And Hudson's going to go in the middle of the box, and Mauser reaches up. As I'm reading wrong, it appears that the strikers appear to be the stronger team right now, Gordon. At
They
this
do.
moment, anyway.
I think there's some fatigue showing by Team America, and the 10 men has certainly taken its toll, but they put up a magnificent defensive show in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Crescitelli into the box now. He's got Vanderbeck. He's got room. Off to Crescitelli. Right foot kick is blocked by Rongan. Well, that play developed. It will go across that line in a corner now belongs to Team America. You know, you see so many times a team will put pressure on, not score. The other team comes back and puts it in the net.
Generally, how it happens. Alan Green going to take his own corner kick. Looking for some assistance.
Would they vary this attack a little bit, or they will?
Well, I think they're going to look for the high ball. They've got the height in there. There it is.
Crescitelli up. Rongan won the ball. Vanderbeck, though, puts it back and wide of everything. And across that goal line, the goal kick belongs to Fort Lauderdale.
Curry looking a little bit down with himself, but I think he did the right thing because he tried to drill it through several defenders, and I'm sure the goalkeeper would have been screened if it was on goal, so it was a definite chance.
Longan lays it ahead to Ray Hudson of the Strikers. Kubias back to Hudson. And looking for Roger Davies. Davies beats his man. In it goes and headed away nicely. Cantor made a nice defensive play.
Excellent diving header, Mike, by Dan Cantor. A stalwart defender.
Cantor going way down low.
Here we see Davies put the ball past Alan Merrick and beats him to it. And left-footed, hard and low, Dan Cantor comes in. Diving header and gives away a corner kick, which has also been cleared now.
At midfield, Fogarty will come back to live action. Headed up far side by Merrick, and there's a look at the saves in the second half. Mauser with 5, and Van Beveren has picked up a pair in the second half of action. We have 9:20 to go in regulation time. Kubias couldn't get to it, but the Strikers do control it with Hudson in command of it.
And of course, Belardo available again.
And they're working on that right side. Belardo chipping and the offside play.
Certainly Belardo couldn't have been happy with that cross. He cannot put them into the arms of Arnie Mauser, maybe a little bit harder and lower, and a little bit further out from Arnie Mauser to stop from coming and intercepting. The play definitely slowed down, Mike. Fatigue certainly a factor by both teams. And of course, this is when you have to really keep your concentration. Failure to do so, you could be punished and penalized.
Belardo trying to lead it ahead right side to Segota, and he couldn't connect. And Alan Green to Hayden Knight. Knight has a little bit of room. He's going to try and make a move on Miller. Gets into the box. Knight crossing. And Vanderbeek trailed the play outside. It's picked up by Bandoff. Left foot kick, and that took off.
Tremendous shot, but way over the top by Barris Bandoff. What a crowd. Must be 45 plus.
Well, we're seeing an entertaining game here this afternoon at RFK Stadium. The goal scorers this afternoon, Alan Green for Team America and Brian Kidd for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
Belardo available again.
And
There
they'll
he is.
dish it off to it. Why not? They've got a good thing going. They'll just keep attacking from that side. Fogarty taking the pass. Lifted up the edge of the box. Headed over. Hayden Knight getting to it and made the play to clear it.
Good tackle by Hayden Knight. Must be tired, Hayden. Hasn't played a full game all season.
Segota again making those moves into the box area, trying to keep control of it, and the foul goes against the Strikers.
And of course, Mike, Hayden's got to stay with it because the two substitutes have been used. Hands on his hips is a sign of fatigue and tiredness, and of course that's what Hayden's doing at this time, but played a tremendous game up and back on the field.
Segota of the Strikers hobbling just a little bit as he comes out of that box area. And the free kick way upfield. Miller heads it down to Cabillas. Boy, it almost seems every time you look up, Cabillas is there.
Playmaker, true playmaker.
Almost anywhere in the field.
Thoroughbred.
Belardo relaying it to Roger Davies. Davies going to the goal line.
Just too far for Roger.
Yep.
Goal kick.
The fouls now, Fort Lauderdale total with 23, and Team America was 16. So maybe just the opposite of what we had thought
Exactly.
at the outset of the game.
However, 39 fouls is enough to have in one game.
6 minutes and 40 seconds left in regulation time. Game is tied at 1. Cabillas again moving with the ball. Segota back to Cabillas. He tries to tee it up, can't do it. Savage clears it out of that box area. To Vanderbeek. Trying to trap it with the forehead. It comes to the midfield area. Rongan going to Ken Fogarty.
Well, Fort Lauderdale certainly putting some pressure on now.
Long ball and headed by Merrick of Team America. Back again to the midfield area. It almost It almost appears now that Team America was just going to try and ward off the attack here and hope for a break coming back the other way, because they are in a defensive type of shell, and give the strikers some credit. They're really pushing up. Here's Hudson moving to the box. Hudson, the kid, turns, left foot kick. Mauser right there. He'll catch it in the breadbasket and hold on to it.
Excellent save there by Arnie Mauser, and an excellent shot by Brian Kidd. Certainly
Well, Kidd with that big, strong left foot, Gordon.
Certainly, and of course there's Hudson. Puts it up to the side to Kidd. And hits it on the turn. Left-footed volley. Draws Arnie down to it.
Back come the strikers again. Hudson to Segota. They're looking to open things up. Wagerly for the strikers.
Good to see Tony Crescitelli coming back and marking Balaito. However, Balaito's gone on the inside now with the ball. And now it'll go on the right. No, it won't.
Nope, Tobias.
Steve Wick. Yeah.
Shot go, and we will now pause here from RFK Stadium in Washington. We're tied at 1. We'll be back. Game is tied at 1 with only 3 minutes and 48 seconds to go in regulation time. Foul called against the strikers.
Mike, I think every player on the field has got to be commended on playing so fast in such a good and exciting game. They must have all lost 10 pounds each in this heat.
DeBrito running with it. Trying to beat Miller. Cuts inside. DeBrito. Left foot kick wrong. And now Crescitelli with a right foot blast. And that is blocked.
Excellent effort by Pedro DeBrito there, who is at the moment still down on the ground injured.
Well, Team America with an opportunity. Unable to connect.
And we can't afford to lose Pedro or any player at this particular time.
Wagerly moving right back into Team America territory. And he is definitely controlling the ball here in the second half. Wagerly makes another move. Crossing pass. Look out, Kidd. And Mauser reaches up to beat him to it.
And DeBrito still down in the area of Fort Lauderdale.
Crescitelli of Team America to Vanderbeck. Gave it away.
DeBrito's gotten himself off the field and is now getting treatment by Eddie Rogers, so the game goes on.
Well, DeBrito with now Team America shorthanded by 2 men at the moment. Left side. Wagerly. Again, that cross is headed out of that goal box area.
Great defensive header by Dan Kanda.
Segota. And intercepted again by Team America. As it is cleared to midfield. Hayden Knight. And DeBrito now.
Well, he's off the field, but he's got to ask permission to come back onto the field, Mike. I think that's what he's going around to the side to do.
Well, Jeff Durgan left the game in the 35th minute of play, ejected.
And Pedro's back on the field.
We have 1:57 to go in regulation time. The strikers pushing the attack. Davies in the air, try to win it. Roger Davies, number 19 of the strikers. Being pressured, makes a move, got around Bandoff. Crossing to Wagerly, up in the air. Hudson heads it down and cleared away again by Team America.
Well, certainly too many passes. That ball should have been relayed into the goal long before now. Too many passes to set the goal out were taken.
Dan Cantor again doing the job. Rongan. It's almost a one-sided affair at the moment. Balaito. Again in the air. Davies went for it. He had that foot up. Play will go on, and it's controlled by Mauser.
And let's credit Dan Cantor once again for great defensive play. Had an outstanding game. Him and Alan Merrick have played fine defensive.
Approaching 1 minute left in regulation time. Mauser with the long kick. And Fogarty will control for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers to Thomas Ronga, midfielder. Play it left side to Segota. He dummies the play, lets it go back through to Wagerly, and why not? He's been the man that's been moving the attack up.
He has penetrated.
He is making a lot of moves. Left side, he tries to cross. That is off Savage. I think it will be a corner. Nope. It will not be a corner kick. It is a goal kick. Very close play there. But it goes in favor of Team America.
Outstanding play by Wagerly. Certainly put an injection into this team, especially in the second half.
seconds left in regulation time. And Cantor washing it long. Crescitelli skims it ahead for Alan Green. And to put it back down to Crescitelli. He has possession. Crescitelli against Rogan, beat him. Crescitelli's in the box. Left foot kick. It'll be stopped. Van Beveren made the play and goal.
Good effort by Tony Crescitelli.
6 seconds left in regulation time. Well, Team America with the shot by Crescitelli. We are going to go to overtime. And so at the end of 90 minutes of play, we're tied. Team America won. Fort Lauderdale won. We'll have sudden death overtime after this from your local station. Reason why we are going to some extra time, sudden death.
Well, there's Steve Wegley on the left wing, crosses that ball, and here we see Brian Kidd, number 11, jumps and heads the ball to the left side of Arnie Mauser.
And Team America coming back in the tail end of the game in regulation time. Dan Cantor with the long goal kick upfield. Alan Green and Tony Crescitelli teaming up.
There we see the ball coming down. It's back-headed by Tony Crescitelli, headed again by Alan Green, sets up Tony Crescitelli, who rounds Thomas Rongren, keeps possession of it. Tony has an excellent play here, takes it in on the inside. There you see it, onto his left foot, inside the box, drills it with his left foot, brings Van Beveren down to his knees and makes the save. And that's in the last seconds of the game. The game does go into overtime, final score being 1-1 after 90 minutes play.
The overtime will be 15 minutes of sudden death overtime. They'll be dividing the play up into 2 7.5-minute halves. And so at the end of the first half, if nobody has scored to win the game, they will switch ends. And then, if it remains tied at the end of that, we will go to a shootout. We'll tell you more about that as we get to that point. They picked the hottest day of the year.
Certainly have, and it's humid in here, Mike. Wow. Coke and pretzels and nice seat and getting sunburned, feet up.
Fortunately for some of the fans here, the cloud cover has moved in a little bit to take some of the heat off. Or we would have had a big sale on suntan lotion and whatever you need after. There would have been some burnt people up here.
Yes. Danny Cantor, the center back, played a tremendous game. Unfortunately, the Team America lost Jeff Durgan. We're not quite sure why. Possibly Jeff used some abusive language to the referee, although he did push the Fort Lauderdale player. So they played with 10 men for 75 minutes, or 75% of the game. Alan Murray came into the center of defensive position along with Dan Cantor, and both played great, outstanding games. Of course, Arnie Mauser and Jan Van Beveren have also had great performances this afternoon. Jan Van Beveren, a national team player from Holland. Of course, Arnie Mauser, the most capped player, cap meaning that you played for your national team, the most capped player for the United States.
The fouls through regulation time. Fort Lauderdale with 24. Team America with 16. 11-4 in the second half. The Strikers led the way. And here we go in the first overtime period. Again, reminding you, the first team to score in this overtime wins the game.
No changes could be made because both teams have used both substitutes. No more are allowed.
Ray Hudson. And again, Mauser down to our left now, defending the goal. Cantor plays it away, and it will be a throw-in for the Strikers. Well, they had things pretty much their own way in the second half, and they got the tying goal. They had the upper hand in the second 45 minutes. Wagerly to Miller. Wagerly again will find Zagota open now. And Bronco's right foot kick sails way up over the crossbar.
Like, just for information, that Branko Zagota spent most of his life in Toronto, Canada. Played for Rochester before coming to Fort Lauderdale. Got a tremendous shot in left and right foot. Canadian national team player.
Gordon, the plan of attack for Team America right now, would it be as it might have been in that second half, just try and hold the defensive off and try and...
I think so, and counter-attack with Tony Crescitelli or Alan Green, which nearly worked on a couple of occasions.
Maybe even hope now, if you were to get, for Team America anyway, to a second half of this overtime, and then try and force a shootout. Maybe you figure your chances would be better in that.
Well, I really don't know at this time, Mike. However, they are tired. Both teams are tired, but Team America's only got 10 men.
Now Fort Lauderdale will press the attack. And rightfully so. They have the weapons to do it with. And that is to the far side with nobody around. It will cross that line, and the goal kick belongs to Team America. 6:10 to go in that first half of overtime. Team America tied with Tampa Bay for the top spot in the Southern Division. Team America entering this game with a record of 5-4.
And of course, with the point that they've already got, meaning a bonus point that they get for the first goal and the only goal scored, that puts them on top actually with 36 points. However, if Fort Lauderdale win, they come all the way up from the bottom to the top.
Ray Hudson, and he was tripped by Alan Merrick. So Hudson 35 yards away from Team America's goal.
Actually, Mike, if Fort Lauderdale win this game on a shootout, they get 4 points for winning on a shootout. They've got a bonus point here now, so it could be 3 teams tied with 35 points at the top.
Team America 1-0 in overtime play. Fort Lauderdale is 0-2. And Fort Lauderdale has not seen a shootout yet this year. Into the box and headed away by Team America. Back it comes, Roger Davies. And I think he played that one off Cantor. He did. There'll be a corner kick.
And Dan Cantor once again, great outstanding defensive play. In close attendance there with big Roger Davies.
It'll be Hudson to put the ball into play. Moving wires from that far side as he prepares himself. Low to the ground, and Bandoff able to clear it away.
A lot of pushing going on there between Davies and Cantor.
Hayden Knight trapping the ball at the chest and moves it back to the midfield. Green unable to come up with it, and Bruce Miller now to the right side. Belitho moving in deep. They've given him room there most of the second half. Now into overtime to Ray Hudson. Vanderbeck trying to shut him down. Hudson with a cross. Look out. Davies in the air, and Maurer. Arnie made a great save there.
Great save.
Mauser really came up tough.
Anticipation. Well done, Arnie Mauser. And a good header by Roger Davies.
No, Davies is so strong in the air. Now to Brito. Rambling back. To Brito. 2 men to beat. And he is pulled down.
Well, the referee's given a goal kick, and Pedro de Brito's looking for a penalty kick. Here we see a replay of Rocky Hudson taking it down to the goal line, crossing it all the way over to the far post. Big Roger Davies climbs high, gets his head on the ball. Strong header. Arnie Mauser in good position to pluck it out of the air.
Cobillas off the side of the foot to Ray Hudson. Hudson chips it up behind the defense, and it is taken by Mauser again. Roll it out quickly to Tony Crisatelli. Good tackling play by Rongan. Wagerly now in possession to Hudson. Rongan will lead it over to Segota, who is coming down into that box area for Kidd off his foot. And it deflects to Mauser. 3.5 minutes to go in that first overtime period. We told you Fort Lauderdale has not been in a shootout this year, if we should get to that point. Team America has been there twice, and they've split. They're 1-1.
Ex-diplomat Thomas Rongan on the ball. Played a fine game this afternoon. And of course that right side with Belitho's open again. And there he has it.
Belitho looking ahead for Segota. That was not a good pass by Belitho. I think it'll be Team America trying to get some attack going. Crisatelli unable to win it in the air. And Kidd was pushed from behind. Play goes on. Merrick got a piece of him. Cobillas, the edge of the box for Hudson. Hudson headed up, and a scissor kick attempt by Kidd.
Excellent effort by Bruce Kidd. While turning around himself, he bicycle kick with his left foot wide of Arnie Mauser's right post. I've got a question, Mike, why Arnie Mauser doesn't take his own goal kicks. Dan Cantor's taking them for him. I'd much prefer Dan Cantor to be out in the field of play where he's got a duty to perform.
Cantor puts that one way upfield. Crisatelli skips it ahead, and it's going to be an offside play against Green. Oh, that one so close.
Very close.
Team America almost making the big play to break Alan Green alone. But he was called on the offside infraction.
No complaints from Allen and accepted the decision.
Hudson to Cabillas. This is where the Strikers have dominated from the second half on from their midfield. They have really moved the ball well. Bruce Miller to Wagerly. And that was not a good pass by Wagerly. Savage will send it back to Arnie Mauser. And the game tied at 1 with 1:30 left in the first half of this overtime period. Sudden death. And again, Team America to put it back onto the surface there at RFK Stadium. They do to Vanderbeck. Right back to Bandoff. And going back towards Team America's end of the field. Cantor lifting it long to Alan Green. Just can't get it back to him. Vanderbeck. Lateral pass to DeBrito. And the pass intended for Hayden Knight and Bruce Miller. And the ball jumping off his foot, and it allows Team America again to gain possession. Hayden Knight looking for DeBrito. Well, the plan of attack right now, Gordon, for Team America, as you read it, is what?
Mike, I've got to say that Team America seems as if they were prepared to keep possession of the ball there and let time run out. However, Crescitelli's on the ball now, and he's difficult to knock off.
And Tony lets that one fly way wide of the goal.
For some reason, I just thought Team America wanted to keep possession of the ball, let time run out, and see what the second 7.5 minutes does.
Well, this first 7.5 is almost completed. We now have 3 seconds left in the half of play. And that is it. So we will go to a second half. They will change ends.
Two very tired teams, Mike, at this moment. You see players, hands on knees, hands on hips, heads down. Very humid and hot day. I think they should all be commended on such an exciting game today. Fort Lauderdale.
One of the Beach Boys who will be performing here as soon as we finish up. Mr. Wilson. Hayden Knight. Well, the liquid certainly.
Well, they should take as
That
much
was
as they
their
can get.
craving for it because you know, you're just drained completely.
No question about it. They need that liquid back to put in their bodies. Algis Panagoulias talking to Tony Crescitelli. Seems as if they've reached an agreement on what to do.
I think what he might be saying to him is on that last play that he had is take your time a little bit, move in a little closer here before you start firing. Maybe he thought the time was running out, and that's a possibility.
Certainly is. Of course, we can see all the mistakes, and we know all the right things from up here, Mike, but on this hot, humid day, all the players, as I said before, should be commended for a fine performance. Of course, Hayden Knight has played his first 90 minutes, in fact 97.5 minutes all season. And credit to Brian Kidd for doing the same.
I'd like to congratulate the crew and the folks that have worked with us here in this telecast, because they've gone through a lot of the hot weather too.
Put on a little bit weight since I last played against him.
And here we go. Alan Merritt. Near side of the field again. For those of you that may have joined us late, Team America is playing with only 10 men on the field against the 11 that the Strikers have. And Jeff Durgan, fine defender for Team America, ejected the 35th minute of play. At that time, Team America had a 1-0 lead. Fort Lauderdale coming back to tie the game. Scissor kick by Green.
No one
Across
there.
to the far side, and nobody there to handle it. Van Beveren, push it out. And Thomas Rongan now with the play ahead to Ray Hudson. DeBrito trying to shut him down.
Interesting note, Mike, that Wegley has come over onto the right side, away from the left.
Cleared away from that box area by Merrick. I think has played an
Outstanding
very
game.
strong game
Outstanding
this
game.
afternoon.
And Dan Cantor. Very clears again.
Back ahead to the midfield area.
I think the tactical move for Wegley is because he saw so much space open on the right wing.
And Davies is claiming that it should be a corner kick here, that it went off one of Team America's players. He will not win the battle.
Of course, that's why Wegley is on the right side. And Dan Cantor taking the goal kick again.
Long low, and it will be DeBrito. And Ray Hudson DeBrito winning the ball. Trying to get his own pass, and he does. Good play, DeBrito, but it sailed across the line here on the near side.
Although he ran it out of play, he's a very strong runner on the ball.
We have a final in this afternoon. Chicago has defeated Toronto 3-1. Final of the NASL. This one has not been decided as of yet. We have a 1-1 tie. We are in sudden death overtime. Now called against Team America. 5.5 minutes to go in overtime. Malito leaving it for Wegerle. Steve Wegerle, corner of that box area. And again, Alan Merrick is there to push it away. And the strikers trying to strike for the game winner. Unable to make the play connect that time. And Vanderbeek moves it upfield, far side, thrown in by the strikers.
Perry tried to release Alan Green one-on-one with Thomas Rongan. However, the ball did go out of play. This right side's open again.
Wegerle, again, the man that has been asked to quarterback this attack. And he'll cross it. That went too far for any striker to get the head on it in the box area. And it belongs again to Team America. There's a look at Steve Wegerle. Since he has come on, has really helped spark this club. But, you know, to Team America's credit, they have warded off the very fierce attack that the strikers have thrown at them.
No question about that, Mike. And while you were talking, I'm listening to Alan Merrick to tell Pedro de Brito to see if he can close down on that right side a little bit more, stop them penetrating down that right side, because it is an outlet for them, and pressures come from that side.
Crescitelli again in the air, but Rongan this time beat him. And it is Wegerle. Bandoff cut him off and gets it back to Arnie Mauser. Certainly for Team America, goalkeeping will be one of their strong points during the course of the year. Paul Hammond and Arnie Mauser.
Two fine keepers.
Malito just let it cross the line. He'll throw it in now to Ken Fogarty. 3 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the overtime. Sudden death. If neither club should score here the remainder of the way, we will go to a shootout. We'll tell you more about that when we get there. Vanderbeek. Up off the foot to Crescitelli. Rongan will try and cut the angle on him and not allow him to carry the ball. And the last man to touch it was Crescitelli.
Not only did Rongan put in a good tackle, but he got the throw in.
Yes, he did. Fine defensive play by Thomas Rongan. You see the time ticking off here in overtime. Davies held by Hayden Knight. That's about as obvious a foul as you will see.
We couldn't call that a professional foul.
That might have been 15 yards there. It will be Cabillas. To the near side, to Wegerle. And again, as Gordon Bradley mentioned to you, they are working that right side. That one's headed up over the crossbar.
Ryan Kidd indicating to Wegley, that's the service I need.
He has the only goal for the strikers. Alan Green countering for Team America. His goal coming early in the contest. And Cantor again will handle the goal kick, as he has for most of the afternoon for Team America. Rongan, who has been strong in the air and winning balls.
An asset.
Midfield.
An asset is that balls.
Alan Green trying to play it by Fogarty, and it belongs to the strikers. Hudson's crossfield pass finds Cabillas open.
Well, Cabillas has been quiet for a little while, but now he's back in the game.
Looking for Kidd. It is headed up by Cantor, and Vanderbeek clears it off the line there in the box area, far side of the field. David Chadwick, the coach of the Strikers, really up on every play now, trying to get his team enthused here.
Well, I think, Mike, you can see this game being won in regulation time because Fort Lauderdale have put a lot of pressure on Team America. When it's shootout, it's anybody's game.
And Vanderbeck again to the big circle at midfield. Balaito with less than 2 minutes to go in the overtime period. On their side to Steve Wagerly. He's going to take it in deep in the corner, tried to cross it. Bandoff got a piece of it. And the throw in by Wagerly. Over the head to Balaito. Back to Wagerly. They have really consistently gone to Balaito and Wagerly on that right side or left when he was really moving with the ball.
Certainly close marking there by Freddie Vanderbeek.
Miller to the left side. Zagota moves in along the line, and I think he took the ball across that line.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. It'll be a goal kick.
Credit Bruce Savage for putting pressure on Zagota there and letting him run that ball over the goal line for a goal kick.
63 seconds to go. And we'll see that play again, Gordon.
Well, Zagota's trying to outrun Savage. Savage keeps close attention. That was the ball to run over the goal line for the goal kick.
And again a midfield. Roger Davies pushed by Hayden Knight from behind.
Well, an advantage rule could have been given there. However, he did get the free kick.
Hudson clearing to the right wing corner. And Dan Cantor. This will play it back to Arnold Mauser. It looks more likely now that we will be going to a shootout. 35 seconds left here in the overtime. Mauser laying it up. Fogarty and Hayden Knight with 23 seconds left. Knight unable to hold the ball. Ray Hudson to Cabillas. They may have time here for one attack. Cabillas, the edge of the box to Kidd. Kidd swing it over to Zagota. Back to Kidd. He's trying to get a handle on it. We've got a foul called here. It is against Fort Lauderdale.
Certainly a close call there on Team America defense, but Brian Kidd did foul after he lost possession of the ball.
We have 1 second left. Time has run out of the scoreboard clock, and that will be it. As far as overtime is concerned, we will be going to a shootout, and we shall tell you about that. Here's a look at what happened.
Well, there's Brian Kidd on the ball. He plays it up in the air, jumps on top of someone's shoulders. Alan Merricks, of course, gives the foul away. Time runs out. It's a shootout.
Well, Gordon, I shall let you have the opportunity of explaining to the folks what's going to happen here in this shootout.
Well, first of all, Mike, I just want to say that any team that wins on a shootout gets 4 points. That's the league's rule. You can add the bonus points that they scored in regulation time to that. So we've got Team America with 1 bonus point already. We've got Fort Lauderdale with 1 bonus point. One team's going to have 5 points, 4 for the shootout win, and the 1 bonus point. The other team will have the 1 point. What happens in the shootout is that the ball is placed at the 35-yard line, as we see it over there. Goalkeepers in goal. 5 players from each team take a shootout individually, one at a time. They flip for to see who takes the first kick. Then each team alternates. If the score is still tied in shootout goals after 5, then they take a sudden death shootout, meaning, example, if Fort Lauderdale takes the first shootout, they will take the 6th, and if they score and Team America misses their 6th effort, then the game is over. Fort Lauderdale has won. So it's a shootout, and then it's a sudden death shootout after each team has scored 5 goals. The player taking the shootout has only got 5 seconds to take his shot at goal. 5 seconds to take a shot at goal. If he shoots at goal and the ball ricochets off the goalkeeper, the kicking player cannot touch that ball a second time. He's got to wait to see if the ball goes into the goal or goes wide or goes dead. That is the situation in a shootout. The goalkeeper cannot move until the whistle is sounded for the 5 seconds to begin.
Well,
coincidentally, Mike, in practicing the shootout many times, a lot of the players at first thought, well, 5 seconds isn't enough to get the shot off. However, it really is more than enough. They generally get the shot off between 3.5 and 4.5 seconds. Rarely have I seen the referee blow the whistle for expiration of the 5 seconds before the player's taking his kick.
Gordon, in addition, they have to get a lineup of their shooters and what...
In what order they're going to take the
go.
kick, yes. And of course, Algis Panagoulias has just given the linesman his 5 shooters, and I'm sure that's what's happening with Davy Chadwick and the officials over the far side.
Jan Van Beveren, who, of course, last year played with Fort Lauderdale. Arnie Mauser, who was with Jacksonville
Yes,
in 1981. They had, during the course of that year, 3 shootouts between those 2 teams, and Van Beveren won all 3.
Well, that's interesting.
But it's a different day.
It's a different day. It's a different
Arnie
game.
Mauser, who has really been sparkling at times this afternoon for Team America, has really helped keep them in the game. They lost Jeff Durgan the 35th minute of play. They really literally have played with their backs against the wall, trying to keep the attack off, and they've done that job. And I think really looking at it as you go back in that overtime period, to me anyway, Gordon, and maybe I read it wrong, they were playing, I think, for this shootout possibility. They felt they could maybe get an opportunity to win it, play good defensive soccer, and try and hold on and go for your best shot here.
Well, obviously, Mike, as the second half showed, Team America were very tired. Fatigue had set in.
There is a look at the standings, although Team America will have at least 1 point, so they will have 36 no matter what happens.
Well, that's right, and of course, Fort Lauderdale could get up to 35 points on this shootout. Cabillas looks as if he's the first one to take the shootout. Arnie Mauser is taking his position in goal.
Well, Cabillas will be the first man to move in, and again, he'll go with the signal of the referee. He'll have 5 seconds. And the referee will blow the whistle, and that will indicate to Cabillas that it's time to make his move. Well, they're electing to go with one of their better shooters right off the bat.
No question about it, and as I remember, Mike, it's not a flip of the coin to see who goes first. I believe the away team, this case Fort Lauderdale, does go with the first shootout kick.
Boris Bandoff will be the first shooter for Team America when we get there. But now it'll be Mauser against Cabillas. Cabillas, their leading scorer on the young campaign. He has 6 goals and was the North American Soccer League's Player of the Week this past week. We are tied at 1. Now there seems to be a problem here with some of the equipment they're using.
Well, they've got to make sure that the 5-second clocks are in order, operating order, because it's those clocks that determine the countdown on 5 seconds. You know, Mike, there's been a lot of controversy in the North American Soccer League about this shootout. However, the crowds seem to think it's very, very exciting, and of course I get caught up in it as well. It is exciting. It means that there will be a result to every game, that no ties are allowed in this league. However, because the team didn't win in regulation time or overtime, they've only given 4 points for the win instead of regulation 6 points for the victory.
All right, here we go. Well, the linesman will sound the whistle in situation. And of course, the keeper can be called for a foul, in the opinion of the referee.
Certainly can. If he's fouled, if the player's fouled, it's a penalty kick result.
Yes. We're about to begin. And it'll be Cabillas. Here he comes on Mauser. He has scored. And Fort Lauderdale.
Inside of the right foot to Arnie Mauser's left.
Well, Cabillas gives Fort Lauderdale 1. We'll take a look at it.
Approaches Arnie Mauser in full control. Gets it on his right side. Arnie's left. Inside of the right foot. Just to the left leg and outside of the left leg.
Bandoff now coming on. Here's a tap. And it is stopped. Van Beveren coming out to tackle that ball away. So with Bandoff missing, Fort Lauderdale remains with a 1-0 lead here in the shootout.
Well, here we see Boris coming in, puts it onto his left side. He's a left-footed natural. Tries to bring it inside, but Van Beveren saves with his left leg.
And Steve Wagerly now will be the second shooter for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Wagerly moved that ball over onto the 35-yard line. He'll make his move in against Mauser. Right foot kick, and Mauser stopped that.
Inside of the right foot. Arnie Mauser's save. He starts from an unusual angle, Mike. Plays the ball only once, lets the ball roll, and then inside of the foot, off Arnie's right leg.
Dan Cantor will be the second shooter, and he is on the attack. And Ben Beveren stops him. If it goes in, will count or not? Yes, it is. It went in before the 5 seconds had elapsed.
No question about it. Dan Cantor played the ball, hit Van Beveren's leg, went up in the air, bounced, and spun into the net. It's 1-1 after 2 shootouts each.
The third shooter for Fort Lauderdale is Roger Davies. And Davies against Mauser. He'll miss wide right. And we remain tied at 1.
Well, Roger Davies is not very happy with RFK because he feels that the ball bobbled just as he was out to play it past Arnie Mauser. Came up the side of his foot and went way, way wide.
Well, he did not have a very good shot on that play. Now, Team America has a chance to take the lead in the shootout.
Yes, they have.
Vanderbeck will try and get the second goal for Team America. Perry Vanderbeck. And he has scored.
Very cool by Perry Vanderbeck. Lots of control. There's Perry, plays the ball forward. Very cool, composed, taps it a little bit further forward. All right through the legs of Jan Van Beveren. Team America 3. Excuse me, Team America 2. Fort Lauderdale 1.
All right, Bob Balaitho will be trying to tie it here in the shootout. Balaitho, his kick. Mauser stopped it and kicked it off the line before it went in. So it still remains 2-1, and now Team America can win the game outright here.
No question about it.
If Tony Crescitelli can put it in, it will be an insurmountable lead. It would be the third goal in the shootout.
Here we see Balaitho again, plays the ball inside the D, shoots, ricochets of Arnie Mauser.
Crescitelli
And there's
has
another
given
goal.
Team America the win.
Tony Crescitelli, number 13's won the game. Played the ball quickly forward onto his right side and puts it past the left outstretched hand of Van Beveren. It's a victory for Team America. They've got an insurmountable shootout lead, 3-1.
Well, Crescitelli, who had not scored a goal all year, certainly gets the big one.
And that is a big one. Jan Van Beveren disappointed. That's how it goes in the shootout. Tony Crescitelli, elated, the happiest man in RFK Stadium at this moment, with Team America winning a shootout win against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. And of course, they're doing a lap of honor, Mike. And most deservedly so. They played 75% of this game with 10 men, losing their captain.
Final score here. Team America 2, the Fort Lauderdale Strikers 1. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Captain of Team America. Team America is the United States national soccer team in training based in Washington, D.C. We're playing in the North American Soccer League in order to help us get ready for the 1986 World Cup. If you'd like more information about our team or team novelties, call us in Washington.